Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number 660 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Monday, June 2nd, 2025. And happy Pride Month, kids and cubs.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Hey, regardless of who you sleep with or don't, regardless of what you have between your legs or don't, you're all invited to the party. So fag it up, bitches. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Well, that's a little, yeah, okay.
What?
That's,
You've never heard that one
contradictory.
up?
Fag it up, bitches.
Somehow it works.
Okay.
It's fabulous enough to work.
Sorry, my grammar pedantic mind. I just,
We have no rules here. We have no rules. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And as you can hear, with me as always is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. And of course, making their special guest appearance, the twins. I have no name for them this morning. Sorry. I just thought, as soon as I said introduce Mr. Grizzly, that, oh yeah, I forgot to pick a name for the twins today. So this and that. There we go.
all right. There you
There we go. At the last minute with the save. Let's see. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and Psychic Tarot. No.
Yes.
PsychicTarot.ca. Yes. PsychicTarot.ca. I was thinking it was the other name that I was saying, but no, I had got it right. Yes. Me. Shouldn't have doubted myself.
Comment from Tim McCaffrey says, feels like April 2nd this morning. I agree with you. It's currently in downtown Ottawa. It's 9 degrees. 9 on June 2nd. What the hell? Now, that being said, it's going to be 27 tomorrow, 30 Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, but it's freakishly cold for Ottawa at this time of the year. And anybody who's ever spent time in this city in the summer would know. I know, technically it's still spring, but usually we are well into summer weather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm normally schwitzing at this hour in the morning already.
Yeah. By the May long weekend, it's usually like 27, 28 degrees. People are out at the beach. You might not go swimming because the water is pretty cold still, but you're definitely at the beach. So, that's a big cottage weekend for a lot of people. They open up the cottages. Sometimes people will open them up for Easter if it's warm enough. And in the past, it has been. But this spring has been weird.
It's been a spring.
And exactly, Tim. Consistency would be nice. Just consistent.
Yes.
Not 2 days of 25, 27, and then 2 days of 5 and 10. What the hell is that all
Have we gotten 2 days of 25 yet?
Yeah, we have. Yeah,
Okay.
we did.
I must have missed them.
Well, when it goes, that's the thing. Our memories can be quite short when it comes to the weather. When it goes from hot and then goes cold, and let's be honest, 10 degrees at this time of the year is cold,
Yes.
period. 10 degrees in February, hey, shorts and a t-shirt weather, right?
Oh, yeah. Run around naked if you're Canadian.
10 degrees in June? No. Putting a parka on.
Yep.
I wore a toque the other day, and it wasn't for fashion.
Yeah, so yeah, it's for my recollection of the spring has been consistently gray and rainy and cool, with a couple of warm days here and there. Oh man. Okay, Mr. Grizzly, how is your mental health today, sir?
That's pretty good. Pretty good actually. I got a to hell with it. Cat's out of the bag. Friday morning after the show, I got a email confirming that the job that I had recently applied for is, or recruited for, I should say. I was recruited for it. It's mine, and I'll be starting in a couple of weeks. So can't tell you what it is. I'm working as a consultant in the audiovisual field, and that's all I can tell you, really. AV, yeah. So the money's what I wanted.
Good.
Was shocked because I'd been getting mostly lowball offers, and when he asked me, he said, "What are you looking at?" And I go, "This is my basement." He goes, "Oh, this is what we start at." And I go, "Oh, that works." He goes, "No, we start salaries at this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted." Okay, we're good. So it's 5, maybe 6 years worth of work, which is great. And yeah, let's just say I've got a plan in place, and the plan is start paying some bills really quickly. And as time moves on, I'll be able to start, topping up the TFSA and the RRSPs again, because they've taken a shit kicking over the last year to keep me afloat.
Yep. A little Destiny's Child. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my automobiles?
Yeah, it's everything I want.
Good.
In a paid gig working for somebody else. I mean, look, ideally, this is meant to be that, right?
Right.
But it's going to take us time to get to generating enough revenue on this channel. I mean, I'll be able to start. We got to readjust our ad budget so we can get bring some more faces in. So yeah, we'll have to. We'll have a meeting about that later, sir.
Yep.
But we got to bring in generate some more revenue. So we have to bring in some more ad budget money, and as we can grow the channel, things will slowly be better. Now things are going to be changing for me. To what extent, I don't know. I haven't been given my office location yet, so that will be dependent upon several factors, and then of course factor in the travel time, because it depends on where I'm going to be working. I have a feeling of where I'm going to be working, and if it's there, I'll probably be able to do 30 minutes of the show first thing in the morning from 7 to 7:30, and then we'll see. It's we'll adjust accordingly.
Yep.
I haven't even got my employment contract yet. The news came in Friday morning that the client wanted me, because I'm going through an agency. Client wanted me, and yeah. So it's just a matter of getting the employment contract together. I have to review it, of course, and then there's my building pass has to be arranged, and there's lots of things to take place between now and then. But yeah, I'll be back in the saddle in no time. Between now and then, it's like hand to mouth and rolling quarters to buy KD. But
Happy trails to buddy.
Things are turning around, and I'll be able to.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Well, it's a tremendous relief because as I said, I was really battling with the whole, do I have a purpose anymore?
But you've been working hard at this. Like the hardest job anybody has, as you ever heard, right, is trying to find a job, and you've been plugging away at this.
Yeah,
you do the work, you get the rewards.
My goal, like when I got my walking papers, because they just didn't have work for me. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to enjoy the month of August, and then hopefully I'll be back to work in September.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
And that would have been great, because I would have had my severance package, which was a big chunk of money, and that would have kept me afloat for a long time until it didn't, and then it was okay. Let's go into the savings, but the goal was to get back to work, and then I could just improve on everything. You'd have your severance package. We'll just put some money here, put some money there, pay this off, pay that down, blah, 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 get the new income, and here we go. Didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I have to say. Things always work out the way they're supposed to. You don't necessarily understand it when you're going through it, and you might have moments where, why is this happening? Now, I don't do the why me thing. I've done that in the past when I was considerably younger. Now I'm just kind of, well, this is how it is. I don't, I'll have my mournful moments, if you will.
Mhm.
Mournful, I guess, would be a better term there. My mournful moments of like, this is difficult, and I don't know where I'm going to be in the future. Do I have a future? You have those moments, but I don't. Why me? No, that. Why not me? Why anybody else? Right?
Mhm.
Took me a
Well,
long time to get my head around that concept, but once you do, you just it makes something. When something negative impacts your life, you just okay. I'll just roll with it.
right.
You know.
Indeed. Listen, this is great news. I am happy for you. I know how hard you worked for this. I know how hard you work,
Mm.
period. Because it's been 4 years. I've been watching you go.
Mm.
So this is deserved. It's well earned. I hope it's everything that you hope it will be and more. I hope it is indeed long term because
Yeah.
stability is nice. It's really,
Oh, yeah.
really nice. Having a solid platform from which you can leap and know that you will never go lower than there is good and gives confidence to try higher leap too. So,
Oh, yes.
um,
Yes.
so I have nothing but love, and I am so happy, and I'm sending you all the good vibes. And can see here in the chat already lots of yays and way to go balls and stuff. So
Thanks,
hey,
everybody. Appreciate it. It's been a tough slog. It's been almost a year that I've been out of
yep,
work.
yep, indeed. See here in the chat too that Kit Saucy is not feeling too well today, so
Yeah.
sending some healing vibes to you, dear one.
Hope you're feeling better.
Yep, self-care. Glad that you're taking a little time there. I saw in the chat there that you're going to take some time, so that's good. Good. Yep. And, we're sending you all the good stuff, and hopefully you'll be back to yourself in no time. But yeah, it seems like it's you're not feeling good today, based on what you've written there. Eee. All right, kids Cubs. I'm doing well. I had a bit of a weekend alone because the Beaver Sweetie was off in Toronto to a university graduation reunion and spent some time there and had a great time. And
Well, you got to
well,
remember when he graduated too. It was during COVID.
no, that's his PhD. This
Oh.
is for his bachelor's.
Oh, okay. So
His
that's
20-year
different.
reunion.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
Okay, then. I didn't know
so,
that.
yeah. So he had a good time, and weird stuff because about my foot. Friday, for some reason, my foot was so swollen, like really, really. I took a bath and it just expanded, like it was like I don't know. Paper towel that like super mega absorbent bounty that could absorb a whole swimming pool or something. And I thought, oh my God, like there's like no more skin. It's gonna pop. At some point, my foot was so big. I
Ouch.
get like it's amazing how elastic skin is.
Hmm.
So I did the ice thing again, elevated, and I rigged something up in my bed to have my foot even more elevated than it was. And fortunately, after like 2 days of doing that, my foot was almost normal size, like closest to normal size, like the other one that it's been since I broke it. I'm thinking, oh God, this is really great. And yesterday was my first day without pain. I was doing so well. Then my beaver sweetie came home. And you have to understand, if you've ever seen the movie Beethoven,
Yeah, the big Saint Bernard.
yeah, that's my sweetie. So he came to give me a hug and then kicked my foot.
And you didn't have the cast on, right?
Oh, I had the cast on.
Oh, okay. Well, that's that. At least you had a modicum of protection.
Yeah. So, of course, and if anybody's had a broken anything and banged it,
Yeah, I know what that's
you know
like.
how it just like radiates through the entire body and you can like feel your heartbeat as it in every
Mhm.
pulse. of it, and it lasts for hours. So yeah, he was home all of 10 minutes. Yep. And that was the end of my evening.
I'm sorry, but it's funny. It's funny. I shouldn't be
I
laughing.
know. It wasn't funny in the moment. It's funny now.
Yeah.
But it's like it when someone you love has been away and they come home, a very important thing to do, even it's like away from work for the day, right? Is those first 5-10 minutes when you walk through the door. It's not walk through the door. Oh my God, I had such a terrible day, and then dump on someone. Right? It's walk through the door. Hey, you've been gone. Now you're here, like a puppy almost. You were gone. Now you're here. You were gone. Now you're here. You were gone. Now you're here. Yeah, come give me a hug. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. So we try to have that in our relationship, like this. Don't walk through the door and just dump. Let's have like a moment, like to connect, and then then tell me about your problems. Yeah. So in the excitement, because we hadn't seen each other since Friday afternoon, so it's like full 48 hours. It's like without hugs and cuddles and all that good stuff. And so yeah, he's just like, oh, yeah.
He's like Coco.
And I like in my head, I'm thinking it's like right now I could yell, "You've only been here 10 minutes." It's like, but it's like, this is connect time. This is connect time. This is connect time. No, that's all right, sweetie. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. That's okay. Can I do anything? Not really. Other than getting me that other than getting the Tylenol and Advil and water, I just took them. That's about all you can do right now to make it better. So just let me wince alone. So yeah. Kind of womp womp. But woke up in good spirits. Still in a little pain though, but not nowhere near as much as yesterday. No, by midday, based on previous times where I knocked my foot so far a little bit, I think by about noon or something like that, I should be back to normal. But oh my God, it hurt yesterday. Oof. Okay. We have there's a lot that's happened over the course of the weekend. We'll try to get to all of it. We probably won't be able to get to all of it in one show. But for those who are following Stanley Cup, very, very important notice. First match will be Wednesday night. The final.
Yes.
So
Edmonton in Florida.
Very exciting.
I think it's going to go at least 6 games, if not 7. And I do predict Edmonton as being the victor this year. I really do. I think they have it. I think they have the momentum, the maturity, the understanding, the knowledge of what it takes to not only get there, but to win it. I really believe it's their year. I really do. That doesn't mean that Florida is going to roll over, because they're not. They're the defending champion. They're going to fight like demons.
Yep.
But it's going to be a hell of a great series. And hey, Edmonton is now Canada's team.
Excited. And if you are a fan of junior hockey, the Memorial Cup has taken place. And in the final was the Medicine Hat Tigers versus the London Knights. And the London Knights scored the upset in the final, winning 4-1.
Where was it played?
In Rimouski.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Oceanic were the hosts this year. So, the London Knights are the Memorial Cup champions this year. So, I guess the title goes to the OHL this year. Boom. Ontario Hockey.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Because QMJHL.
QMJHL. Yeah.
Major junior.
Exactly. And then for those who are into para ice hockey, Team Canada defeated the Czech Republic 3-0 in the semifinal at the World Championships to have a rematch with the United States. The United States had won 3 of the last 4, but Team Canada was the defending champion. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a blowout, and Team Canada lost in the final. I think it was 6-1 at the World Para Ice Hockey Championships, but still silver medal for Team Canada and a very good performance. So there you go. A lot to be proud of. What else do we have for you today? Oh, yes. Kit Uncover mentioned in the news there in the chat that it seems that Mount Etna is erupting in Italy.
It happens quite frequently, though.
That's true.
It erupts frequently, but it's not a giant. It's not Mount St. Helens or Vesuvius or anything like that. I say Mount St. Helens because that's in our most recent history, 45 years ago, when it blew the entire top off the mountain. And changed weather patterns in that part of the world well, we're still seeing the effects of it to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Decimated entire forests. And now the forests have since regrown, of course, but it was the before and after pictures were quite shocking when you saw the difference.
Mm-hmm. Now, apparently there's some, I could send you, I think there's a little bit of video here. Like all of these reports here are within the last hour. So I'm guessing that this is something that's just happened because I'm not seeing anything older than an hour ago here.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. There's some images here. They're saying that people were running for their lives as it happened. So I'm not sure how big an eruption it is, although, well, it seems to be pretty big. Hopefully, I'll be able to spot some video there at some point and show it to you. But yeah, Mount Etna is doing its thing, so we'll probably hear a little bit more about that over the course of the day, depending on how bad it is. I don't have a sense of it at the moment.
Here,
What
I have
else
some
do I?
video.
Oh, you do have some video? Okay.
I do. Uncover the News just sent me some video. So
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Kid
I'll queue it
Uncover.
up here, and I'll put this on the screen for you in just a sec. It's not a small eruption,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's,
I'm guessing that it seems like it's a big one here.
yeah, this is not your typical little
Oh my.
pop. This
Yeah,
looks
no
like
wonder.
it's fairly, yeah, that's a big cloud of ash. I was not expecting it to be quite that, because, like I said, it erupts frequently, but it's usually quite small.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
only
think this one's
14 seconds of video, but it gives you an idea the scope and measure of it, right?
okay.
It's not tiny.
It's not just a little burp, or maybe for a volcano that is a little burp. Who knows? I don't know much about volcanoes, to be totally honest. Yeah, it's true. Gotta admit my limitations there. The another bit of big news, Mr. Grizzly, and I will let you take this one because you're the one who mentioned that you'd like to talk about it today. But big deal.
Operation Spider's Web, which the Ukraine dealt a strategic blow to Moscow's or Russia's Air Force, their air superiority aircraft, if you will, their bombers. I've got some video here of the drones literally taking them out. This is from the BBC. I'll show you this. There's no audio on it, so it's just a visual. But you can see there's drones. And what they're doing is where they're hitting the aircraft is in an irreparable place. So that's why, see where they're hitting them, where the wing connects to the fuselage?
Yeah.
The reason they do that is that that's not repair. You can't repair that. It's like the aircraft is finished. If you hit the wingtips of the fuselage, that could very likely be repaired. But where they're striking, no, it's that the aircraft is finished. It's done. I was reading about that earlier. So, yeah, you can see the amount of damage. And 18 months they worked on this in complete secrecy. And of course, Trump is like, nobody told me. Well, of course not. You have a direct line to the Kremlin. Why would they tell you that? You would immediately inform Putin. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they snuck these drones into Russia. How they did it is just incredible when you think about it. They built temporary houses and hid them in the roofs of the houses, and then upon the strike, the roofs opened up and the drones took off, and then they took out all of these aircraft and trucks, and you can see there's all kinds of stuff that was just decimated as a result.
Jeez.
Well, and exactly from Linda here, it says this was masterful. Zelensky knew this was in play when he was attacked in the Oval Office. They didn't tell the U.S. they were going to do it.
Yeah.
You remember, he said, you don't have the cards. Actually, he did have the cards.
Man. So, yeah, according to Euro News here, Sasha Vakulina, Ukraine has destroyed over a third of all Russian missile carriers in a coordinated drone attack on Sunday, orchestrated from within Russian territory. How is Operation Spiderweb planned and how is it executed? Ukraine's Security Service Bureau, Ukraine's Security Service, SBU, reported on Sunday that over a third of all Russian missile carriers have been hit in a coordinated drone attack aimed at different airfields in Russia, located thousands of kilometers apart. So this wasn't even just one site. This was like all over. More than 40 aircraft are known to have been hit, including the A-50, Tu-95, and Tu-22 M3, causing overall damage of more than 6 billion euros.
Yeah. Well, that's presumed the amount, because there's no way to actually say that, but it could very well be that price tag.
Damn. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, quote, Operation Spiderweb had made, quote, an absolutely brilliant result, which was achieved solely by Ukraine. The Ukrainian president also shared more details on how the operation was carried out, explaining that 117 drones had been used, each with its own pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Quote, the most interesting thing, and we can already say this publicly, is that the office of our operation on Russian territory was located right next to the FSB, the Federal Security Service of Russia, in one of their regions. This is just trolling at this point now.
Oh, yes.
In a major blow to Russia's security services, Zelensky said Ukraine managed not only to execute the operation, but also to safely withdraw the people involved. They were operating in different Russian regions in 3 time zones. Quote, our most long-range operation. Our people involved in preparing the operation were withdrawn from Russian territory in time, he explained. Zelensky said it took Kyiv 1 year, 6 months, and 9 days from the start of planning to effective execution. This means like Zelensky caught on 1 year, 6 months, and 9 days ago at least.
Oh, yeah.
That he was not dealing with honest brokers in the United States and decided, you know what, we're going our own way. The more this, I love respect, man. It's just major respect. That's how you do it. He thanked the head of the Ukraine Security Service, General Vasil Malyuk, and asked him to reveal the details and results of the operation to the public. Quote, of course, not everything can be revealed at this moment, but these are Ukrainian actions that will undoubtedly be in history books. Ukraine is defending itself, and rightly so. We are doing everything to make Russia feel the need to end this war. Russia started this war. Russia must end it, Zelensky wrote.
Well, that reminds me of this.
Man, if there's one thing that I know, it's never to mess with Mother Nature, mother-in-laws, or...
That's from 2003. Mother Nature, mother-in-laws, and mother freaking Ukrainians.
Wow. Although Ukraine's security service has not revealed more details at this stage, Ukrainian outlets are reporting exactly how the operation was executed, referencing SBU sources. According to these reports, first-person view drones were smuggled deep inside Russia and hidden inside trucks and mobile log cabins. The cabins' roofs were then opened remotely, and the drones proceeded to launch their attacks on Russian military bombers. Russia's Irkutsk governor Igor Kobsev confirmed that the drones that attacked a military base in Siberia's Sredny were launched from inside a truck. In a post on Telegram, he said that the launch site had been secured and there was no further threat to people's lives, unless there's another launch site somewhere for round 2, as you're coming to save all that kind of stuff, and then they take out your emergency supports. But anyway, Russian outlets also reported that other attacks were launched in similar manner, with drones emerging from the backs of trucks. Social media footage widely shared by Russian media appears to show the drones rising from inside containers while the panels lie discarded on the road. One clip appeared to show men climbing onto a truck in an attempt to intercept the drones. Operation Spiderweb is not the first unconventional operation to be carried out by Ukraine's security service. In October 22, the SBU struck the Kerch Bridge, which had been illegally built by Russia after its annexation of Crimea in 2014. And you'll remember that we reported that Ukraine issued the very next day a stamp. While saying, gee, we don't know how that happened. Maybe Russia bombed itself. Because Russia has been saying that about Ukraine at that point. We haven't done anything. Maybe Ukraine bombed itself. So they flip the tables. But it's like, as they're twirling their hair and go, I don't know, maybe Russia bombed itself. Oh, by the way, here's a stamp commemorating the occasion. It's just such trolling. I love it. The explosion, which Russian authorities said was caused by a truck bomb, badly damaged the bridge which links Moscow-occupied Crimea and Russia. The targeting of Russian bombers, which have been carrying out massive missile attacks on Ukrainian cities, was previously considered almost unthinkable. Moscow had made sure to keep them well out of the range of Kyiv's weapons, but both homemade and those supplied by allies. Alenia Air Base is located in Russia's Murmansk region, around 2,000 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. Balaya Air Base is in Russia's Irkutsk region in southeast Siberia and over 4,000 kilometers east of the front line. These two airfields were among the hardest hit during Sunday's operation. Another notable aspect of Operation Spiderweb was the choice of weapons. Kyiv used FPV drones, which are produced in Ukraine en masse and are widely used and appreciated by the military due to their affordability. FPV drones typically cost only a few €100, while Russian A-50 radar detection aircraft, which was reportedly hit today, along with other planes, cost over €300 million.
Yeah. It's this is a major blow.
It's very asymmetric here when you can take out a €300 million piece of equipment with a €600 piece.
Yes. Well, so
sorry.
a friend of mine who works in counterterrorism was telling me, because he he's deeply, I don't want to use the word embedded, but deeply does a lot of research into this, and he was saying that what's happening right now in Ukraine is the drone pilots, instead of getting medals that they don't give a damn about, they get points, and the more points you get money, and then they go and buy better drones with them. I'm not even joking. And then, it's like, so if you take out a tank, you get X number of points. They've created a video game scenario for drone pilots in actual warfare.
Yep.
It's kind of warped when you think about it.
Yes.
But this is what is currently happening. This is modern warfare. It's changed forever. The 6th gen fighter pilot won't exist. The 6th gen fighter will be remote operated and probably autonomous to a certain degree, because a lot of the drones that they're using, if they get cut off from their controllers, they can go full AI, autonomous, and attack their target.
Mm-hmm.
The only concern about that is they might not be able to determine, if their target was soldiers, which soldiers are which.
Yeah, exactly.
But in an instance like they just did, they're just attacking aircraft. So,
yep.
It's
like, wouldn't surprise me anymore. It's like, when you talk sports and the recruiters are there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, it's the big baseball game. Oh, the scouts are in the stands. It's like,
yes.
I'm thinking at esports events. Like,
oh yeah,
not only recruiters for higher level esports, but military commanders. He's pretty good with a joystick. That one.
Yeah, don't kid yourself. I mean, the drone pilots in the U.S. military, and I think we're looking at drones in Canada as well. Don't quote me on that, but they are full-fledged soldiers. They've gone through basic training.
Oh yeah,
they are soldiers. They are military members, but they're still looking. They're looking at other individuals who are like, okay, this person, their eye-hand coordination, and I'm sure they're even looking at people who do drone racing, because that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where they take a drone basically down a mountain bike path and they race against each other. First one to cross the finish line wins. So taking out another drone in the process.
Mm-hmm. So, but this is, how I put it, if a $600 €600 drone can take out a €300 million plane, and Ukraine did this without advising the United States in any way, shape, or form, that piece of news going public certainly changes or gives the United States a lot to consider in the Canada-US dynamic, doesn't it?
Well,
because while we don't have a lot of money compared to the United States, we have more money than Ukraine. We can afford many $600 drones.
Yes. You need to consider that. You also have to understand that because of what took place in the Oval Office with Zelensky, 80 years of agreements, the world order changed that day, as evidenced by what just happened. They didn't know about this until afterwards.
Yep.
This is how secret it was, which is pretty cool when you think about it. This is out of a James Bond movie.
Yep. Oh yeah. Ukraine's presidential advisor and former Minister of Strategic Industries, Alexander Kamyshin, has said Ukrainian manufacturers have the capacity to produce over 5 million FPV drones per year.
That's a lot.
They needed 117
to do what they just did. Yeah.
To take out billions of dollars
Yeah. Well, and here's the
Shit.
thing. Here's the thing. The drone is like it's $600, right? When it's done, it's done. In military expenditures, $600 is that's barely ammunition for a single soldier, right? So,
Right.
you know, in the process, they can take out a strategic target without risking any of their own soldiers' lives. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Oh man, that is
Yeah.
apparently, um, uh, Mr. Taco
Mm.
didn't like that. Like, well, clearly he was caught by surprise because you'll remember a couple of days ago, he was when he was pretending that he was mad at Vladimir Putin.
Mhm.
Vladimir's not doing it, and like this because he's figuring out he's being played now, and he doesn't like being laughed at.
No,
So
no,
he
he can't
realizes that the
handle
world
that.
is laughing at him. So that didn't go well on that sense. And then he's got the whole taco thing going on right at the moment as well that he's not handling very well, as we'll talk about later. But oh my god, oh, there's some video here
Oh,
from Ukraine. I'm going to show it here. It goes, you got to admit, this is something you could watch forever. It's Laura Babcock, friend of the show, that was sharing it on her feed. And I'm going to share it with you over here. Let's do this. There we go. And this is here, the visual.
seen that clip.
Damn. Oh my god. Wow. Oh, I have a feeling there might be a couple people falling out of windows in Russia soon.
To say that
Oh my
Putin
god.
has egg on his face is an understatement.
Wow. This is
Talk about
viewers
air
look,
superiority, right? With
right.
the remote control drone.
Oh my god. This changes the game totally.
Yeah, it does. Well, and you consider too, as Trump is going on about his golden dome, missiles aren't going to be able to take out drones.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's wild.
Okay. That's wild. So, if you're listening, if for those who are just listening on audiocast, you just have to see it. I can't explain it.
Yeah, you'll have to find a link.
But it's like they're
quite
just like
something.
the planes are just sitting there, and it's just like pop fire, pop fire, pop. They just like pop, and
Yeah.
flame just pops on the top. Wow. But yeah, this clearly is going to. Well, it should
Oh, they're
change
fiber optic
some.
drones, those ones.
Yeah, it should change some rhetoric coming from the United States in the sense of how bombastic it's been when they realize how big. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Trump still considers Russia a superpower at the moment. That a superpower can be taken out like that, especially the military, because Trump's all, let's spend 5% of the world on military. Well, if all the planes could be taken out just like that, maybe we should reconsider that.
So I'm looking at a map here, and it shows that I'll put this. This is from a video, but I'm not going to show the video because it's like 5 minutes. But take a look at this map, and it shows the bases that were attacked, and look at how far away these are from Kyiv. 6,000 kilometers. Belya Air Base, Ivanovo Air Base. I can't even read that. Diaghilevo Air Base. I don't know. 2 naval bases, like.
Diaghilevo,
Yeah.
Ivanovo.
The closest one was 1,581 kilometers away.
Wow.
So there was a
From the
lot
capital.
of planning that went into this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that's it's impressive too.
hmm
I mean, it's just like, holy crap. And yeah, I think Trump or something like that had put out this thing uh, where people were going like, "This has got to be a joke, right?" But he's like sitting there, something like, "I can't believe this happened. Russia was just sitting there doing nothing." And it's like, Russia was just sitting there doing nothing.
They didn't know this was happening until it was happening.
But it's like, yeah, Russia was just sitting there doing nothing, live its best life, and all of a sudden Ukraine. No, that's how the war started. Ukraine was just sitting there living its best life, and Russia decided it was going to invade. Ukraine decided that Ukraine was an enemy that needed to be eliminated. It's like
hmm
um, this is not Russia was just sitting there and wow, I can't believe the Ukrainians. Russia's been attacking Ukraine for years. It's like, oh my God.
I don't think this is real, but it's funny. I'm going to share this with you. It says this is a live shot of the Ukrainian drones attacking right now. This is not real. There's no way this is real. There's no way that's real. There's no
No.
way that's real. But it's funny. There's no way that's real. I'm not even joking. This is a live map of the Ukrainian drones heading towards Moscow right now. I'm like, there's no way that's real. No evidence confirms Ukrainian drones targeted Moscow on June 1st. So yeah, it's not real, but it's funny. It's funny.
Oh my God. That's amazing. See, yeah. So yeah, yep. Didn't inform the United States, just went ahead and did it. Is Zelensky is doing it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Well, why do you even have to?
Here.
Like, really, why do the Americans need to know?
Right.
It has nothing to
Right.
do with them. This is a sovereign nation that was invaded by a warring faction, madman, and they're fighting back. Ukraine doesn't want this war. They never did. But they're in it, so they're going to fight full force. Defend their lives, defend their sovereignty, defend their freedom, defend their homes. The U.S. isn't involved, so why would they tell them? They don't need to know a damn thing. So good on Zelensky for basically flipping the bird to Trump and the Oval Office after what they did to him in the Oval Office. You don't have the cards? No, I have several decks of cards. Thank you very much.
Never underestimate. Never underestimate. I do not understand why people can't understand this.
Well, what's the old saying? A single man defending his home is more powerful than 10 hired soldiers.
Right.
Now, that's from a very long time ago, right?
Yes.
Before guns, before gunpowder. But there's truth to that in that somebody defending their home has a little bit more at stake than a hired soldier. A lot of hired soldiers are like, we don't need this objective, and we'll walk away. Whereas somebody defending their home will fight to the very end because it's their home.
Right. Now give them a bit of technology.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I got to grab a coffee.
Don't underestimate people's attachment to their homeland.
No, don't.
Pardon, sir?
I'm just going to grab a coffee. I'll be back.
Oh, okay. So yeah, big thing. There's definitely going to be fallout as a result of this. So expect it. All right. Yesterday happened to be International Children's Day as well. So if you are a child, either on the inside or the outside, happy day. Also, let's see, what else do we have here for you? It seems that during the day from the speech of the throne, Prime Minister Carney had a little meeting with Stephen Harper. It seems that everybody's declining to comment on the meeting itself, with a spokesperson, Andre Champoux, from the Prime Minister's office, saying they had nothing further to say. CBC News reached out to Harper for comment via his consulting firm, Harper and Associates, but did not immediately receive a response. And I'm not sure how friendly or how tense a meeting it is, because you have to remember that during the federal election, Harper had endorsed Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who served as a cabinet minister in his government. And Harper appeared in Conservative ads in the latter part of the campaign. He also did it at a stump speech, but also wrote a fundraising letter taking aim at Carney's role in managing the recession. Quote, I have listened with increasing disbelief to Mark Carney's attempts to take credit for things he had little or nothing to do with back then, wrote Harper. He said that Carney was not involved in the day-to-day management of Canada's economy during the global recession and was undermining the work of Finance Minister Jim Flaherty. Of course, Prime Minister Carney did nothing of the sort.
No.
Then candidate Carney, I should say. So I have no idea what was going on. I don't know if that was a, what the fuck?
Well,
Mark Carney looking at what the fuck, man, meeting, whatnot. But it seems that nobody wants to talk about what the meeting was, which I find a little odd, because if the current prime minister is meeting a former prime minister who hired him and allegedly wanted to make him finance minister at one point, and then publicly slagged him, we should know what happened at that meeting.
well, I did see an interview with Mark Carney, Prime Minister Carney, and somebody had confronted him with that question. I'm trying to find it and see if this is there's a couple of clips. I'm trying to find the right one. And the question was, how do you feel about that? You know, with the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister endorsing Pierre Poilievre and saying you had nothing to do. And he's basically, well, I was in those meetings with Finance Minister Flaherty. Pierre Poilievre didn't sit on any of them.
Right.
He wasn't in any of those meetings.
And we know that's true, as evidenced by the delightful costing that he presented during his...
Here's a clip. A clip for you.
Stephen Harper appointed me Governor of the Bank of Canada. I worked closely with the late and great Jim Flaherty during the financial crisis. We resolved a number of situations. Many people are familiar with that experience. I note that Pierre Poilievre was not at any of those tables, was not given any of that responsibilities, and note further that in subsequent years he has not gained any responsibility in managing crises or
Throwing a little shade, but justifiably so, because not a word of that is a lie. It's all true.
It is true.
It's all
and
true.
Like I said, and we've seen the evidence. The costing, terrible. His quote-unquote shadow critic for finance has absolutely no experience in finance, and technically needs to double up because he needs somebody to say whatever his shadow critic says, to be able to say it in French, because it is the economy. It's certainly not an efficient way of doing opposition, but there you go. Particularly if your calling card is that you've got all the solutions for the economy. Yes, like if the guy, and of course we find out after the election campaign who the finance minister would have been. And it's not like he doesn't have financial talent. They've got this new person here that they just brought in. I can't remember her name, but stood up in the House and bragged about having 14, with 14 years of experience in business. I know that you need to have a budget in June. Well, it's like if you actually had 14 years of experience in commerce for real, you would know that you cannot make a financial budget in 4 weeks.
No.
For a country this big, especially in a context so volatile as this one. So I don't know where you're coming from there, Boo Boo Kitty, but that was not the flex you thought it was.
You remember who we're dealing with here.
I know. So, of course, they're going to have to vote on speech from the throne and all of that kind of stuff. And I was listening to Chantal Hébert, and even though we do have 4 weeks, Chantal Hébert did bring a good point that when you count the days for process and the days for debating the speech from the throne, of course, there has to be some opposition days in there and all that. There literally is 8 sitting days out of the whole calendar to actually pass the legislation itself. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be debated somewhere else and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's only 8 days unless the session is extended. And of those 8 days, of course, we have the estimates, which is money that needs to be spent to keep government operating at the moment until we do we do have a budget, and those have to be passed by at the latest June 23rd, and those need to be debated. And you already have Pierre Poilievre saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's spending so much on these estimates," which are pretty much the same estimates that were proposed before the House was prorogued. So, I mean, these were estimates that would have been approved,
Right.
sometime before the budget, or originally if we had regular time budget and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure how much cutting he was expecting the prime minister to do in estimates that were tabled originally before he was even prime minister, that are needed to just maintain the things that are operating now. I'm guessing he wanted him to come in like Elon and just start cutting stuff without actually taking the time to analyze what that cut would do. Right? You got Andrew Scheer standing in the House as we showed the first day of the question period. Where's the budget? Everybody's going, "Where's the budget? Where's the budget?" And already it's like this party's showing that it is not serious, because really, it's like everybody knows that if the federal government were to spend this amount of time tabling a budget that would put out now, and then they have the NATO meeting and find out what the new commitment is, that, okay, sorry, that budget has now expired, we have to change it. But that would be dumb. Or here, here's the budget. It's like, now we'll make some cuts. He's having the meeting today with the premiers to determine what are these fast track authority projects that they like. My guess is that the federal government will have to put some money in there. Would be nice if they knew which projects and how much before they made a budget. Right? So the whole conservative stuff, like if you're a plan, you would have if you were the man with a plan, you would have a budget right now like this, is literally dumb, because if he's a man with a plan and intends to have a plan that actually is going to be effective or good, you take a little time and prepare a good plan. You don't just come in and say, "I've got the plan." Like, Mark Carney has a plan, but he needs extra data that you can only get once you are in government, right? There's some information that you can't get. There are things you cannot do. There are meetings you cannot have. I like this. Get Felix. I have to disagree. Pierre has a lot of experience in shadowing. He's shadowing and pretending to be an elected member of parliament as we speak.
That's a good one.
I like it.
Well, constantly, look, a lot of people are trolling him, and I've done the same thing. When he comes out and says something about, "This is what Carney must do," and my response is, "Unemployed man says what?"
Yeah.
You don't.
I know. It's like he's in a terrible position to be telling anybody what they must do, considering that he himself couldn't get it done.
Look, and people are going, "But he's still the leader of the party." Yeah, he is, but he can't sit in the House of Commons because he doesn't have a seat. I don't question whether he's the leader of the party or not. He's a lame duck.
He's the leader of the party, but that and a couple of toonies will get you a cup of coffee.
I mean, come on, man.
Come on, right? It's like it's not a thing. So apparently the Conservatives want to introduce some type of amendment to the speech from the throne that demands that there must be a budget in terms of voting. So again, a useless performative amendment that will speak to the base that, of course, is just willing to eat anything that's spoon-fed to them. But anybody that has a modicum of knowledge of the economy and budgeting, particularly in a government context, knows that a budget that would be tabled in 1 month would be sending a signal to the entire world: I'm not serious.
Yes.
And I actually don't have a plan.
Well, as they keep screaming for the budget, and I hear people go, "It's a typical liberal thing." I'm like, oh my God. They just got elected. Do you expect them to have a budget right away? That's not realistic.
Well, the budget always comes this time of year. Yeah, but we didn't have a normal schedule this year, okay? Deal.
We just had an election. We just had an election.
You guys wanted Trudeau gone, and you wanted the carbon tax gone. You got what you wanted. Don't expect a budget also. You're going to have to give up one.
And they're literally going to be seated for what, 30 days in total before they, the House shuts down for the summer.
I know. Yeah. But
So they can work on it over the summer. There's no question period. The House doesn't sit for that time period. Come back in September, they can go, here's the budget. Yeah, we realize it's not in the spring like it normally is, but things are different. We had an election.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
An election that the Conservatives wanted. Right? An election that Conservatives wanted. They begged for it for months. They voted 10 times in the House to make the government fall.
Yes.
Like,
so,
And as Prime Minister Carney pointed out in his first question that he answered at question period, it's not like the Conservatives were planning to table a budget in the first 100 days if they were elected.
No.
So demanding of others that you said you had a plan, so prove it by tabling the budget. It's like, yeah, I have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan is to diversify our economy, to diversify defense relationships. And now I am going to go talk to the people I need to do that and get some additional information, get some overall budget and numbers and expectations to actually put the numbers into my plan.
And he's moving fast. we have an agreement with the EU for military procurement. Instead of buying from the US, we're buying from the EU.
Mm-hmm.
I just read that the other day.
Do we have like a full signed agreement, or is it still like memorandum of understanding or something?
I'm not entirely sure about that.
Because I think
either way, what I'm saying is
a little longer, but yes,
he's moving very fast.
Yes. There's definitely engagement and commitment in a clear direction that's where we're going.
Yes. And he just had a meeting, a closed door meeting with all of the leaders of the major energy companies or oil companies in Alberta saying, look, we got to get green online. We got to do this. We got to do, and we don't even know entirely what they said.
Exactly.
Because it was a closed door meeting, but there have been some reports that he talked about, getting a green energy initiative up and running, and the government will provide assistance where need be, which I am not a big fan of because I'm tired of the corporate welfare, billion-dollar corporations getting my hard-earned dollars. Come on, man. There's people on ODSP who have to go out and beg in the street because it's not enough to live on.
Right. Exactly.
I realize that's a provincial matter. I do realize that's a provincial matter, but we could also get some federal funding in there to help people out.
Yep. Indeed. So you've got Pierre demanding a budget and all that kind of stuff and going around, trying to make himself relevant and making these types of statements. He released about 11. At the Premier's meeting tomorrow, Mark Carney must announce a repeal of the industrial carbon tax, the energy cap, the no pipelines law, and tanker ban, and set up shovel-ready zones to get things built. So in other words, Danielle, his boss, told him what to say. And he's repeating what Danielle is saying. So he too is being a little hostage taker. Otherwise, this will just be another liberal PR stunt like the last 10 years, because the last 10 years were a PR stunt. The pandemic was merely a PR stunt, and the recovery from it and everything that we did, childcare and dental care and farm care and, changing the Canada Child Benefit to raise kids out of poverty and renew the census and remove drinking water advisories, I think from 147 at different places and all that. It was all a PR stunt. Nobody's lives actually got better as a result of this. Time to get the federal government out of the way to release trillions in riches from our ground and break dependence on the U.S. So you got Charles Adler here, Senator Charles Adler. New research tells us defeated politicians develop a tendency toward issuing ultimatums to those who are elected. Hashtag horse that didn't finish syndrome. Boom.
It's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. And the big thing here is that he put out a video again, which I am not going to show. I'm not going to air the sound of. Whoops, there we go. But I will show you a little bit of visual here, Kits and Cubs. And tell me what you noticed. Now, in the video, Actually, you know what? I am going to play a couple because it's the way that he opens it. He talks about something, uh, and you will notice he talks about symbolism.
Hmm.
Uh, there is while he himself is showing us a symbol, which is absolutely immediately just by the way he was handling a prop.
Oh, his coffee cup.
What a change. But do the numbers back up the symbolism? Well, we found out this week. See, government has to get the approval of the House of Commons to do any spending. How come this supposedly brilliant banker cannot do the same? But all that really matters.
So basically, this one's it's not the full speech. If you're hearing it audio wise, it's skipping to things. So they're going from scenes, but he's basically holding it like, here, I've got a cup. Okay, I don't know if you can see. There's liquid. There you go. You see the reflection. Because when you drink, right?
Yes.
Right. There's a gulp. There's a swallow, but it has the cup has to tip back far enough for liquid to actually enter your mouth. And he just went like the thing had liquid filled up to the brim, and all he would have to do is just tip. Because but you can see inside the coffee cup that there's no liquid pretty deep in. So as he's talking about the symbolism of Mark Carney doing all this kind of stuff that's empty, he's literally presenting us the symbolism of an empty cup.
Well, not a surprise. And you also noticed on the shelf in the background, he had the Pierre Poilievre for Prime Minister.
Yes.
Signage.
Yes.
Again, I don't know how many times I have to say that. That is not a position anybody runs for in this country. We do not elect a prime minister. We never have.
But the logo from the campaign in which he failed.
Yes, he lost.
And of course, a hard hat in the upper left-hand corner.
Yes, because I normally put mine on display. I don't even know where my hard hat is. I think it's downstairs in my storage locker in a bag where I have my body harness and some other safety equipment. I believe that's where it is. I've had the same hard hat for, I don't know, 15 years, if not more.
So,
and you're supposed to change them frequently, but we don't. We're stubborn.
Literally talking about symbolism and having an empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude.
He's never going to change.
No,
well, and after he took his walk in the field, right, with his wife, and we're learning and growing and learning, and this political defeat is the first I've ever experienced, and he hires Jeff Ballingall.
Exactly. That was literally where I was going next. You read my mind, Mr. Grizzly.
Like, I mean, really?
And he's keeping Jenny Byrne as well.
Wow.
Because a lot of people wanted to get rid. So he's keeping Jenny Byrne, but he's bringing in reinforcements to help. And the reinforcements he brings in is Jeff.
Just a cadre of a deplorable.
But look at me. I could change. Hey, Satan. What the fuck?
I can change. I'm going to bring it. I'm keeping in this terrible person. And it is objective. It's an objective statement to say that Jenny Byrne is a terrible person. Come after me for it if you like, but it's an objective statement. She's a terrible person. Anybody who works on the Hill who knows her will say that. What was it I saw in the Toronto Star the other day? Under the promise of anonymity, a PC staffer, or a conservative staffer, I should say, said, look, the reason Pierre Poilievre lost is because he's a dick and everybody knows it.
Yes. And here's the thing. I'm not sure from which article this was taken, but still, there are smaller steps being taken. Longtime conservative communications professional Katie Merrifield will soon join the staff. Jeff Ballingall, a conservative strategist, is also being brought on to help with Mr. Poilievre's image and message.
Going to make it worse?
Help? Doing a lot of heavy lifting there in that sentence. Oh my God. And it's like, I'm reading this, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh, you gotta fucking be kidding me.
Yeah.
They're like, well, that's a wrap on the whole growing and learning thing he promised while he was walking through that field. I guess they said, say, yeah, that's just not in
Empty
your
words.
repertoire.
Empty words from an empty slogan here.
Right. That's
Who
just not in
also
your
said that the throne speech was nothing but slogans. I'm like,
again, I know. It's like,
what?
I mean, there's going to be no growing and learning and changing. It's going to be take two on further mucking steroids with methamphetamines.
It's right here in the book.
Falling all in.
It's right here in Dr. Mark Borey's book. How the man is a angry high school boy in a man's body. He hasn't grown one bit since high school.
No. We've seen it for 20
I
years
know
in Parliament.
people who went to high school and university with him and said, no, he's exactly the same then that he is now. He hasn't grown. 20 years in Parliament, he's still the same high school boy.
Yep. So that's an ixnay on the growing and changing, eh?
He's a narcissist. He's right and everybody else is wrong, no matter what.
Yep. And he's proving it here. My campaign was right. I just need a couple more people to bring in reinforcements to do the same thing that failed, even stronger and louder.
Yeah.
Okay. Another little bit of thing, because you mentioned, right, Polyev saying that the throne speech was all slogans. And again, if you had, and this is not serious comment. It was short on details. Yeah. Throne speeches always are. In fact, this throne speech actually had additional details that we normally don't expect. So,
yes.
Again, just stupid fill the air commentary that, I didn't even bother to do the homework. So I'll just say that the throne speech was short on details. Yeah, if you go to a throne speech expecting details, you're at the wrong party.
It's true.
I mean, it's just you bought a 7-course steak dinner to a breakfast potluck. I mean, I don't it's just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But as this guy is also criticizing the size of the cabinet, oh my God, it's just like Trudeau's and all the inflation, and names a 73 person himself. Some of the people he left out, Jamil Giovanni, is not one of the 74 named. You think he would be there considering how visible he was. Now, Giovanni claims he asked to be left out so that he could be more free to do his thing. So could it be that maybe Giovanni has leadership aspirations and see that Pierre is hobbled? So don't put me in your cabinet because I can't badmouth you. Like this, or you'll want me to stick to party discipline the way that Jenny Byrne wants that. And I'm not going to do that. I want to speak my mind. So maybe Pierre thinks that Giovanni is too much of a threat because, he really wants those Trump voters. And well, Giovanni is JD's best friend, allegedly. But yeah, Giovanni, nowhere to be seen considering what a big name he was anywhere in the inner circle. And then, of course, we have Mr. Damien Keurig, the guy who's going to step aside in Battle River Crowfoot to allow Polyev to run there. And you've got Fred Delory, the strategist for the Conservatives, going around the internet going, so, well, if there's going to be no games for real, then Pierre should be reelected by June 23rd. Okay, let's have a little reality check here. Mr. Kirk cannot give up his seat until at least 30 days after the results of the election were published in the Gazette. Those were published on May 15th. 30 days from that brings you to about June 14th.
Right.
There's another 11 day after the writ is actually drawn for the by-election. There's 11 days of administration set aside from Elections Canada and all that. Right? So that brings you to July 25th. Then the earliest
June 25th.
Sorry, June 25th. Then the earliest you can have an election is 36 days.
So that's August.
August 4th, I think it brings you to.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. August 4th is Alberta Heritage Day, which is a holiday. So, and in law, it's provided that you don't have, and by-elections are supposed to be happening on a Monday, right? So yeah, it brings you to June something, but by-elections are supposed to be happening on a Monday. So that brings July something. So that brings you to August 4th, which is a holiday. And you would think, well, next Monday it's August 11th, but there's provision in law that says that in case of the extraordinary case that the Monday happens on a statutory holiday, then you can do it on a Tuesday. So about August 5th really is about the earliest, according to law, with everything that's there, that the by-election could take place. And that's if Mr. Carney does a by-election of only 36 days, because Mr. Carney promised that he would play no games with regard to the amount of time it would take to declare a by-election. Mr. Carney did not say that he would he would also make the by-election period as short as possible. And I don't think that Mr. Carney should, because as far as I know, the good people of Battle River Crowfoot do not know Pierre as a constituency MP, do not know Pierre as someone who's able to represent Alberta, any place in Alberta, do not know Pierre with regard to his stance on the independence movement. And Pierre himself said that he cares a lot about people having the chance to make a very clear decision. So wouldn't it behoove the Prime Minister to allow the good people of Battle River Crowfoot ample time to get to know Pierre?
The thing that occurs to me, and I understand, I agree with what you're saying, but the reason
Especially since the House is not going to sit back again until September. So, I mean, he could make it 45 days.
But the reason he's doing what he's doing is so it shows that A, he's not afraid of Pierre Poilievre, number one, and number two, he's basically shutting up the mouthpieces by doing what he's doing.
But
of course, they're already screaming, why isn't the election being held? Because there's procedure that needs to be followed first, you dumb... Ugh.
Right. So they're not following, and they're already trying to present it like he's playing games. So it's like, why shouldn't the residents of Battle River have 45 days rather than 36, or maybe 50, 43, or maybe 50 rather than 36? I'm sure none of that election is August 5th, or the election is August 26th. Both of them give time for Pierre to get back to the House when it convenes again in September. So, but it does give the residents ample time to make a very informed choice. And if there should be a candidate from an Independence Party or something like that, time to make some ground.
You got to wonder, look, for the last basically 3 years, he has not represented his own constituents.
That's why he lost.
Here, where he lives, 20 minutes from Parliament Hill.
Yeah.
He has not represented his own constituents. But, a bunch of people 4,000 kilometers away, I'll be there for you. He just desperately wants back in. And I would love nothing more than for him to be soundly defeated by that young truck driver fella who said, I can't stand for this. We didn't vote for Pierre Poilievre. We voted for Damien. And I keep reading commentary from people in that riding saying, we didn't vote for this. We voted for Damien because Damien is one of us. And by one of us, it's somebody who knows the community, who grew up in it, who was a multi-generational farming family. They wanted somebody who can actually represent them. Pierre Poilievre doesn't represent anything but himself.
Exactly. But that's why I'm saying maybe the residents should have ample time to get to know him.
Well, there's no guarantee that he'll win. He may very well, but there's no guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in life is guaranteed but death and taxes. That's it.
And I've said often on the show, time is not Pierre's friend.
No, it's not.
So, like I said, whether the election is the 5th or the 20th, how late it is in August has no bearing, should he win, on when he can re-enter Parliament.
Mm.
So why shouldn't the residents have more time to get to know Pierre?
Well, let's have a listen from Damien, what he had to say.
Yes.
Just as he's getting ready to step down.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and it is an honor to rise in my place and deliver what will be my farewell speech in this Parliament. Now, Mr. Speaker, for now, as I offer my seat, I will, at the earliest opportunity, resign my seat to trigger a by-election. But let me start by first sharing a few thank yous. Mr. Speaker, it is an honor to serve in this place. Being elected for the third time to represent the people of Battle River Crowfoot truly is an honor. And for anyone who has had the opportunity to sit in this place, It truly is. Being able to serve your communities is something that is a profound honor and something that I hope each and every one of you, all 342 of you, take very, very seriously that responsibility. Mr. Speaker, it is, one never gets here by themselves. I am so thankful for a team that has supported me since I first put my name forward to run in a nomination in 2019, and for the 3 elections since. An incredible team, grassroots conservative supporters that believe in common sense and believe in the things that we believe as a party, not simply because it's an election, but because that's the foundational things that they know our country needs and know what is best. Those are the grassroots people that I am so proud to call my teammates, and of course the team.
The words from a man who clearly cares very much about his constituents. But I'm questioning why he's stepping down then.
Okay.
What was he given? What was the quid pro quo on this one is what I want to know.
Yes.
I mean, he was 6 months away from his pension.
Yes. Yes. And again, that's something we are entitled to know. Now, you will notice that in that first step, though, first part, when Mr. Grizzly was mentioning that, yeah, he probably does care a lot, but he's in there talking about, I hope you take this responsibility seriously,
Mm-hmm.
as he is on the first or second day that Parliament is reopened, even though he's going to be sitting there probably till the end of the session still,
Yes.
already delivering his farewell speech. So what's he going to do for the rest of the month then? You think he would have waited a little bit, but Pierre needs it right now. I take the responsibility so seriously that I'm giving up my seat right away and charging the entire nation another about $2 million.
Well, I mean, this one's interesting. If he's willing to stand aside just before being eligible for a pension, what cushy oil job did he just get handed? That's entirely plausible.
Or a job within the party.
Can't wait to find out what they promised him.
We
and
should
I really,
know.
We have every right to know.
Because there's conflict of interest potential on all over on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have the second bit of the clip, Mr. Grizzly?
Yeah, I do. Ready to go. Because
619? Okay.
Yeah, we'll watch this, and then I got to head out shortly thereafter. So. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Speaker, we get into politics for a reason. And when I first put my name forward to run in 2019, there is a things that you stand for and believe in. Things like putting Canada first, no matter what the circumstances. Things like ensuring that you are always going to put your country first when it comes to the deliberations in this place, when it comes to your actions. And Mr. Speaker, that is why I am so proud to stand with Danielle and stand with my family and offer my seat, to offer to resign my seat to Pierre Poilievre, the leader of Canada's Conservatives, because that man, I truly believe, is the right man to lead this party, to be the leader of the opposition in this Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, my belief before and my belief remains today that Pierre Poilievre is the right man to be Prime Minister of Canada.
Mucho fluffing.
It didn't sound too sincere.
Nope.
It sounded scripted.
And Mr. Speaker, I would ask the people who overwhelmingly put their trust in me in Battle River Crowfoot. I was honored to receive more than 80% of the vote. An incredible, I think, affirmation of not just myself, Mr. Speaker, because politics should never be about oneself, unlike what so many of the Liberals make it about. Politics needs to be about doing what's best for your country. So for the people of Battle River Crowfoot, you put your trust in me. I have a simple request to all of you. I would ask that you trust me as I ask you in this upcoming by-election to put your trust in Pierre Poilievre and elect him as the Member of Parliament for Battle River Crowfoot for the remainder of this Parliament, as he will fight for you in rural East Central Alberta, and as he fights to represent Canadians, the common sense vision that so many Canadians, in fact, many Canadians put their trust in for the first time in this election. More than 8 million Canadians voted Conservative in this last election. More than 41% of the population voted Conservative in the last election. So to the people of Battle River Crowfoot, you trusted me. I'm asking you to trust me once again as I ask you to support Pierre Poilievre as he runs in an upcoming.
Okay. You will notice that a lot of that was like, okay, I'm going to do the right thing for the country and like this and that part. Okay, if you feel that's the thing to do, fine. But because it's not about one person, it's about
But
what's
he's doing
best
it.
for the country.
He's
But I'm
it for
doing
one
all
person.
this for one person.
Yeah, he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. You know, I honestly, I'm desperate to know what they promised him.
Does nobody proofread this stuff?
Clearly. I'm desperate to know what they promised him. Here's the thing, though. It's going to go over the heads of a lot of people. All they're going to hear is, you got to do the right thing for the country. There's a man we can believe in, but there will be
Sacrifice
people.
it all for Pierre.
There will be people paying attention who go, hang on a second here. Hang on a second here. He abandoned his constituents after winning 80% of the vote. He's abandoning his constituents to have a guy from Ottawa come in who hasn't lived in the province in 25 years to come over here and represent us. That doesn't seem right.
Take my word for it.
Yeah.
It's about doing what's best for the country, not about doing what's best for just one man. So elect this one man.
Well, 43%, 59% didn't vote Conservative.
Yes, over 8 million people voted Conservative. Over 8 million
41%
people
of the
also voted Liberal.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you may have gotten over 8 million votes, but the other party got the most votes that any party has ever gotten in Canadian history. That was also because of Pierre.
So Carleton didn't want to do what's best for the country. I think Carleton did what was best for the country and voted his ass out.
Again, the guy talking about symbolism while presenting an empty cup.
Yeah.
This guy talking about it's not for one man while he's doing something for one man, talking about your responsibility. I hope you all take your responsibility as an MP as seriously as mine. Deuces about it.
See ya.
I can't. It's like
Kirk out. Well, I wonder who wrote that for him. Jenny Byrne, maybe?
Focus group it. It's like I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking like, no, who approved this message? No. And again, if that's how competent their communications are to their own members and audience, it's supposed to just eat it up and and not question it. How is this guy going to run a country?
Yeah, well.
He can't think. These people can't think beyond the current nanosecond.
It's impossible for them to do it.
You can't run a country. Running a country is a long game effort. You think Mark Carney, when he says, I'm going to reorient the entire, he's going to accomplish it in 2 years?
Of course not.
It's a long game plan. He's got to lay some stuff down to allow other stuff to happen, which allows him to lay more stuff down, which allows more stuff to happen. It's like systematic, scheduled, planned initiative with steps and phases and tactical and strategic considerations and plans and contingencies. It's not like, well, I need the PR hit today. So even though you're going to be sitting in Parliament for the next 20-something days, have your speech today saying that this is your first and last of the session, your final. So what, the guy's not going to be allowed to speak for the next 20 days now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's just dumb.
Well, I think
this is a speech he should have done like 2 or 3 days before he was actually stepping aside.
I think what they did was that Jenny and Pierre had a confab and they looked at, okay, which riding had the highest turnout and the highest number of Conservative voters. Okay, let's pick that one. Call Damien up, tell him we'll give him a sweet, cushy job in the oil industry, and then promise that he'll be back.
Yeah.
How's he coming back? Where's he going to run?
Well, there'll be either a by-election or, like I said, the Conservative plan, right? The Conservative plan thinking is that, a bit like the Bloc Québécois, we're going to have a deal with the United States by the time the U.S. midterms come along.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then we see if Trump gets elected or not, how Trump does in the midterms. And then we make the government fall because they will not have accomplished anything. I mean, there's not a lot of the stuff that Mark Carney has said that's going to actually be built or started or whatnot like this. There might be some housing and stuff like that in terms of producing like this, but the whole modular housing thing is not going to start. He has to actually build Canada homes first before that 25, So, I mean, there are some steps and there are some processes that are going to happen. So he's going to do that thing he did with the dental care and the farmer care plan. Says, well, it doesn't exist yet. He hasn't done it. He said 2 years. He said he had a plan. He's failed. An election now. Vote for me. That's the plan. Right? They think that it's a given he's going to get the seat, and that it's a given that Mark Carney is going to do terrible, and that's a given that in 2 years, because we're a year and a half, we're going to have another election, and then he's just going to waltz in because Mark Carney is going to have been a failure. The plan is to say for the next year and a half how Mark Carney is failing. Yeah, see, he's failing. He's serious. He doesn't have a budget. He's failing. Like, they're already at it. It's going to be pumping it for the next year and a half. Everything he does is a failure. He can't get it done. It's never gotten off the ground. Where is it? It hasn't happened yet. And then provoke an early election. See, he said he had a plan, but he didn't get anything done. Vote for us. That's the Conservative strategy. To keep on doing what they were doing, louder, stronger, maybe in all caps this time.
Well, I mean, this I'll show you this tweet from Skippy, and then I got to go. This is yesterday. This is from 9 p.m. last night. At the Premier's meeting tomorrow, Mark Carney. Oh, you did? Sorry, I missed that. Okay, well, I'll take it down then.
Yeah, but it was
like grabbing coffee at the time?
You might have been. I'm not
Okay.
sure. But yeah, it was like calling it a PR stunt.
I'm like, from the PR stunt king.
Yep.
Globe and Mail's reporting he may face a leadership review.
Well, he has to face a leadership review.
Yes, he does.
Because he lost. But it's scheduled for the spring. He's trying to have the leadership review bumped up till September. So that there's not enough time for Mark Carney to do well and for the polls to show a split so that the Conservatives might get the idea, oh, maybe he's not the man for the moment. Because all of this is about get me in now, confirm me in this position now. Don't make me work, don't make me earn it, just give it to me now.
Yes. Well, here's an interesting tweet from Captain Dick. He says, what is really at stake is the reputation and image of Battle River Crowfoot voters. All Canadians are watching what they will do. Recycling toxic MPs who were discarded for failing to do their job in another riding is not a good look. Do they really want him or another CPC MP? This is the question I'm asking.
Yeah.
It's like... the ick factor is huge. But it's like, is it going to succeed for him? Because I think a lot of people are like, we did not vote for this man. And Damien stepping down is basically ending his political career. Like he's, he may still have some supporters, but a lot of people are going to go, dude, we voted for you and you left. You abandoned us. So that Skippy could get his seat back, or get a seat back, I should say. I think this is going to piss off a lot more people as time marches on than anything else. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he wins in a landslide.
See, my expectation is that more people would be pissed off. And again, in this whole like not thinking of the next nanosecond, right? Just the current nanosecond. I've got a seat. I'm going to run. It's in Alberta. It's like, dude, Alberta, you are going to be asked every single freaking day about what your position is on Alberta separation. And if you want to be the Prime Minister of Canada one day, you cannot say that you're for it. You cannot. You've already said that Danielle Smith's hostage demand list was reasonable. In that tweet that Mr. Grizzly just showed that we read earlier, because about the PR, that first paragraph is the three things that Danielle Smith really, really, really wants.
Mm-hmm.
She's his boss. If he's in Battle Crowfoot and he is not singing full-throatedly, I love Danielle and everything she does is fantastic and yay for separation. I'm not sure. Like he just thought like, I just need to go to the place where I'm more sure to win.
That's all it is.
And he didn't think beyond that.
I really have to go, sir, but I just wanted to share this little thing from the National Post, which I think is hilarious. Liberals have shunned accountability and democracy in favor of the autocratic leader, writes Higgins. Yep. There's not a metric to back up that bullshit lie.
Yep.
Because that's all it is. It's bullshit.
Yep. The Americans who own the National Post want you to know.
Yes. It's total bullshit.
Yep. Or need
Absolute
you to believe.
Garbage. Absolute garbage. With that, I do have to go. I have to run. I'm running late, and Ms. Lola is eager to get going. So I will see you all later. If things work out, I will be able to have an ASMR up tonight. I'll be able to do one tonight. I'm feeling pretty good today. Physically, I'm in a little pain, but emotionally, I'm feeling pretty good. The sunny side is up.
Wear your hat. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street.
And on that note, literal note, I will see you.
Love that song. All right. Let's see. So, yeah. The conservative effort seems to be pretty much a mess here. And if Jenny Bernstein, they're bringing in Jeff Ballingall, and they're trying to win the current nanosecond all the time, because like I said, this thing with Pierre, if you were an actual strategist and you were thinking, yes, you probably would have disappeared for a while, given time for the Canadian public to kind of forget how you bombed the election and blew a 27-point lead. Maybe work the barbecue circuit like this, then call some type of by-election, have a by-election called sometime, maybe like have happen in September or whatnot, like this, join Parliament sometime later or in the new year. You've had time to shore stuff up and then go to work. And you probably would not be running in a province where there's a separation debate. You'd probably pick another province. Right? Not that that would stop him from being asked all the time, but when you're in Alberta, you're guaranteed to be asked. And until such time, he's going to try and evade that question, giving a direct answer. And that only will give the story legs. And until such time as he's able to give a clear yes or no, that story will dog him. And the inability to say clear yes or no to either side, because he won't be able to give a full-throated defense of all of Canada, because without pissing off the Albertan separatists, and he won't be able to give a full-throated support of the Albertan separatists without pissing off the rest of Canada. The seeds to his destruction and downfall are already sown, just like it was for Thomas Mulcair when he went in way too early trying to preserve Forteresse Quebec by declaring support for the Sherbrooke Declaration. The Sherbrooke Declaration says that 50% plus one vote is enough to effectuate the separation of Quebec, which it goes against what the Clarity Act says. What is Clarity Act says specifically? It needs to be a clear majority on a clear question, right? Without clear majority and clear question being defined. So in this case here, right, he can't campaign both as the guy that's going to put Canada first and stand up for the Alberta separatist movement. He's going to have to pick one. And when he does, there's a whole other mess. And that mistake, that positioning, this could have been totally avoided had he waited a few weeks. I mean, the election was April 28th. We see what Danielle has done in that last month since. Had he waited a month or two, he would have seen that this was where things were going and could have made a more strategic decision. But he's impetuous and he's all about himself. And he needs to win the media nanosecond every day. He couldn't afford couldn't bear the story being out there for a month or so, or 2 months, that, oh my God, he doesn't have a seat, and isn't that terrible? While he quietly disappeared and did the work that he needed to do to come back for take 2 in a serious way. No, instead he got somebody, he talked to Mark Carney. Mark Carney says, "Yeah, I won't stop you." And then boom, hey. It was like, I think it was like 35 seconds after Mark Carney said or something like, "Yeah, I won't disturb anything. Hey, I happen to have got a seat. I got a seat now. You can call the by-election right away." Because he couldn't tolerate even one day of there being talk of him being without a seat. So he gets what he wants in that sense. But then he keeps on reminding us he doesn't have a seat by standing up in front of Parliament, or showing up with his babysitters so that he can be within Parliament to say something, or doing these videos from his office. And you will note that he keeps on doing these videos from his office because I'm guessing the taxpayer is no longer paying for him to travel, given he's not leader of the opposition. So he's also cheap. That video was put out just so he could have content that day. But it's dumb. It stepped all over the message with the empty cup. These people are not playing a long game. There's no strategy. There's no plan, really. There's no rigor. There's no method. And we're watching this as they're telling us that this is the guy and this is the team to run the country. It's just nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Got Kit to Linda M here. You have to wonder who thinks these things are good ideas, or if they're deliberately trying to sabotage them. At this point, I don't know anymore, to be totally honest. I'm telling you, it was like Danielle Smith, as far as I'm concerned, could be totally sabotaging him, as far as I know. These people who keep on putting him in these positions. Like I said, I do not know. But yeah, it does look like someone is trying to sabotage him. Yeah, Kid Christian. If you have to tell somebody you're growing and learning, you're doing neither. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You are paying attention, kits and cubs. You are paying attention. Kitta T. Wigmore asks, is Ripper worth the read? I've started into it, and so far it definitely is. And hopefully when I get through it, we might be able to have an episode or two, a book club episode, and maybe have Mr. Burry on the show to come and talk about it. We would like that. We reached out to him and he has expressed an interest, but I want to make sure that I have the ability to finish reading the book first so that we can have a more fulsome discussion rather than having read a small little bit and then, sort of ask, well, basically do the book report. That sounds like I didn't read the book, right? So I really want to be able to get in there and be able to ask them questions about it. So, and that type of stuff. So, but yes, it is worth a read. And like I said, Kits and Cubs, if you do get the book and do want to read it, that is something that we are planning to do at some point. So if you want to read the book and then be able to discuss it all together, that would be great. Go and get your copy and we will plan that. But yes, I bought it and I was hoping to be able to get it. I was overly ambitious and I thought I was going to be able to get it read during the election itself. And yeah, that wasn't going to happen. And then, there's the post-election stuff. And then I broke my foot. So and things take me a little longer to do around here. So there hasn't been much time to get back and continue the reading. But I was about 4 or 5 chapters in at the time that I had to stop. And I was still thinking I could get it done before the election. And it is very captivating, and I'm very eager to get back to it. So yes, it is definitely, so far, first impressions, definitely worth the read. All right, let's see what else do we have here for you, kits and cubs, because I was looking through the chat, but I do have more story stuff because I want to know what you say so that I can interact with you. Wildfires are a big deal here in Canada, as you know. A lot of stuff has been happening. We talked about it at the end of last week, but as of Friday night, There was at least 17,000 evacuated in Manitoba. 2,500 people from Matthias Colomb Cree Nation were waiting to be evacuated at that time, and that First Nation is isolated because planes could not land on its airstrip as winds were blowing the flames towards the community. The Canadian Armed Forces had offered to move people out on helicopter, but of course it's a helicopter and they're only able to move out 6 people at a time. So that's kind of stuff was the situation on Friday in Manitoba. There are wildfires that have started in Northern Ontario as well. The Deer Lake First Nation in Northwest Ontario had declared a state of emergency as a fire known as Red Lake 12 is burning out of control near and around the community. As of Friday night, it was about 9,600 hectares in size. The nation chief, Leonard Mamakizik, has said that the fire has completely surrounded the community airport and was burning about 200 feet from the band office earlier in the day. Evacuations had already started, but with the state of emergency, the evacuation order now applies to everyone. This is the state of the emergency evacuation from the Deer Lake First Nation specifically here. So it applies to everyone in the community. It's and about 450 kilometers east of that, the Wabekwe First Nation also declared a state of emergency due to the Nipigon 5 fire burning just south of the community. Phase 1 evacuation of vulnerable residents had commenced on Friday. Much of the northwest of Ontario remains a restricted fire zone due to the high extreme fire hazard. No open burning is permitted. So if you live in that area, please do not have open fires there. PM Carney brought together the incident response group on Friday. It was briefed on the government's support, including the mobilization of the Canadian Armed Forces personnel to support air evacuations in Manitoba. The Prime Minister on Friday had been in close contact with the premiers of Manitoba and Saskatchewan. The Government of Canada is also partnering with the Canadian Red Cross to match all donations. So if you're making a donation to help your fellow Canadians, know that it will be matched. And will also provide essential services such as temporary lodging, clothing, and food to those impacted, along with additional federal support as needed. Late Saturday, there were 180 wildfires burning in Canada. More than half of them had been declared out of control. Officials in Manitoba and in Saskatchewan had declared states of emergency by then. Thick smoke and impassable roads keep on hampering evacuation efforts from northern Manitoba. It can only be done with Canadian Armed Forces flights. Communities near the Saskatchewan border like Cranberry, Portage, and Sturgeon Landing have been ordered to evacuate. On Sunday, 16 wildfires were burning in Saskatchewan. Fire officials are saying that the conditions, hot and dry, the lack of rain in the forecast, and strong winds are not cooperating, and the next few days will be critical. Upwards of 8,000 people throughout the province have been ordered to evacuate. Pelican Narrows is the largest community to be evacuated, with 4,000 people ordered to leave the area. The community of Wayakwin was also evacuated. The Métis Nation has also declared a state of emergency. For Peter Ballantine Cree Nation, that one has been evacuated, has been issued an evacuating order, and also the community of Sturgeon Landing has been issued an evacuation order. Sturgeon Landing's on the border of with Manitoba in Saskatchewan. Weldon McCallum, who is the evacuation coordinator for the Peter Ballantine Cree Nation, says that there are 3 fires surrounding the community of Sturgeon Landing, and it looked like they were going to merge together. If you are in Saskatchewan, there are some evacuee resources. The toll-free general questions line is 1-855-559-5502. That's 1-855-559-5502. For Regina residents, that number is 306-787-8539. That's 306-787-8539. You can download the Sask Alert app for real-time alerts. For latest road closures, you can go to hotline.gov.sk.ca. You can also get recorded messages on highway conditions by dialing 511 or 1-888-335-7623. That's 1-888-335-7623. You can also download the Saskatchewan Highway Hotline app, and you can find provincial updates on Twitter at the handle @skgov. I don't have the means to put those up for you on the screen right now. So if you haven't had a chance to jot them down, kids and cubs, I hope that you will remind me before I close the show, and I will read them in again at the end of the show. So that way, if you have a pen and paper ready at that time, you'll be able to note those again. All right. The crew on the ground apparently includes 228 level 3 firefighters with the province, 410 Indigenous firefighters, mainly from the First Nations and the North. And there have also been aerial sort of water bombers and crews that have been supplied by the Yukon Territory, Quebec, Alaska, and Oregon. It also seems that there are more than helicopter lifts that have started. There have been a couple of airlifts in northern Manitoba, and it seems that 1,500 people have been evacuated to date, which is a little better because, like I said, with the helicopters, it was only about 6 at a time that they could bring in. Now, these military equipment are also, as they're bringing people out, they're also bringing supplies like water and other stuff in to help the community. So we have a little update here for you from CBC News with regard to what is going on in the Putagawagan First Nation area. And that will give you a little bit of idea of the scope and scale of the efforts that are being deployed in order to help. In terms of for Manitoba specifically, it is the single largest evacuation in the province's history. So this is a challenge.
This is the scene in the PA. Residents of the Puckatawagan First Nation arriving on military transport after days of requesting extra support with the evacuation. Now, until this weekend, the community's escape plan was based around a 6-person helicopter to help over 2,000 people get out. Multiple large fires nearby cut off the community's power and their water supply. There was all that thick smoke that closed off the community airport, and residents staying in southern Manitoba will stay there until it is safe for them to return. CBC's Josh Crabb is in the PA with the latest.
Just outside an evacuation center in Opaskwayak Cree Nation, just nearby the PA, and people here are taking shelter, people who have come from northern communities. I can tell you that there are still multiple dangerous fires in the province burning in Manitoba that have prompted numerous evacuations. We did get an update from the city of Flin Flon, just north of where we are, that no structures have been lost in the fire, but city officials did say on Facebook, on a social media post, that some properties outside the community have been lost. Now, we were able to take a drive north of where we are on Highway 10 leading to Flin Flon to take a look at a fire in that area. Now, that road leads to another community called Cranberry Portage, which is home to 600 people. That community has also been evacuated. Meantime, evacuation efforts continue by the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Canadian military to move people out of northern First Nations communities like Puckatawagan and Pimicikamak. Now, people from Puckatawagan are being flown out using helicopters, while people from Pimicikamak have been picked up in Norway House Cree Nation, where they evacuated to using Hercules aircrafts. So that is still all ongoing. The Armed Forces said yesterday that so far it has moved around 1,500 people from northern First Nations communities, but hundreds of people still need help. People like Serena Moore from Puckatawagan, she came out from the community yesterday on one of those Armed Forces flights.
It was very hard, and there's lots of smoke. You couldn't even go out, and staying inside was worse. And I don't know, it was scary, especially at night. On Friday night, we had a really good scare. They woke us all up at 4 a.m. to get out of our houses to go further into the community because the fire was coming. That was the scariest thing I ever went through.
Moore is going to be staying with family now in a community about 2 hours south of where we are. Her son was also evacuated from Flin Flon, and they were reunited here at the Paw Airport last night, her son and his 4 kids. And so they're all going to be staying together in a home, about 20 people under one roof. It just sort of gives you a magnitude of these evacuations and the number of people that have been displaced. The Red Cross has said that it has registered 8,900 evacuees from 3,500 households.
And I understand there is some more positive news coming for those in Puckatawagan. What are you hearing?
Well, that's right, Natasha. You know, we had been showing you images of helicopters removing people from Puckatawagan. Well, now we're told by the chief that the airport has been able to reopen there, and that flight that Serena Moore came on was on a fixed-wing aircraft, so it was able to land in Puckatawagan to try and get more people out of the community faster. There, again, are still hundreds of people waiting for help there, and those aircraft and helicopters, they're not going to Puckatawagan empty-handed. They're actually carrying supplies, we're told, like food and water for people who are waiting to be taken out, because the community is without power and people are just hunkering down, waiting to come farther south.
The CBC's Josh Crabb in the Paw.
There you go. Get some cups. So just some information there. As you can see, very important operations. And I mispronounced the word. Puckatawagan is the name of the First Nation. This is something I've never experienced myself, so it's kind of disturbing to watch. And I mean, I know it's terrible, but you know, it's one of those things that it's a situation I certainly would not want to find myself in myself. That's for sure. So yeah, that's why it's always a good idea, if we can, to be able to make a donation to help people in this time of need, to have your life upended that way. So far from that we know of in Flin Flon, stuff has been kept at bay enough that there is no structural damage in the city itself at the moment, which is very positive. Federal officials are definitely on the ball with it. We have, as I mentioned previously, the federal Minister of Emergency Preparedness, I believe, in climate resilience, I think not climate resilience. I never remember her name. The name of the ministry, sorry, because all the names changed in the cabinet, and this one had a new name given to it that is not the same. Emergency Management and Community Resilience, not Climate Resilience. Eleanor Olszewski, I believe her name is, and again, stating very clearly that the federal government is going to be there. All the services are going to be there. There is no need to worry. So I have a bit of an interview with her here, and not sure if this one will get clipped with an ad somewhere along the way. If it is, I will stop it. But this is some important information that instant need to know. It's a little dated because it was Friday night and we're already Monday, but it's important to know just how on top of things that the federal government is, and they're ready to be responsive. So I have this for you right here. I will show it to you. Okay, good. Everything's all set up. Let's do it.
National Fire Preparedness Rating has moved to its highest alert level. That means firefighters and equipment in every jurisdiction across the country are being put to use. Plus, national help has been requested. There are more than 170 active wildfires burning across the country, with more than half deemed out of control. Saskatchewan and Manitoba have both declared province-wide states of emergency, with thousands of residents under evacuation orders. Eleanor Olszewski is the Federal Minister of Emergency Management, and she joins me now. Minister, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Very much appreciated.
You've been in meetings today with your provincial counterparts. I mean, what's your sense of where things are at this moment, how prepared the country is for what's been happening?
What I can tell you is that on Wednesday, the federal government received what's called a request for assistance, and that applied to two First Nations communities in Manitoba. One of them was evacuated, and the citizens there were moved to Norway House, and the Canadian Air Force is in the process of moving them to the city of Winnipeg. There's also an issue at a First Nations community called Matthias Colum, and we're involved in evacuating those people at this time as well. So as soon as we received the requests for assistance from the province, we immediately approved them so that steps could be taken to safely evacuate those communities.
Right. And look, there are challenges. It's remote. Some of these are fly-in, or you have roads that are not great at certain times of the year, and there's ferry service. And, the runways to get planes the size of the Hercules in there, that can be a challenge too. But right now, the request for assistance has come from Manitoba. What's the situation in terms of Saskatchewan? There is a province-wide state of emergency there, but there's not yet, as I understand it, been a request for federal assistance. Have there been discussions around that?
Absolutely. I did speak with my provincial counterpart, Tim McLeod, this afternoon, and he advised me that the situation in Saskatchewan is manageable at the present time, and I in turn told him that in the event that federal resources are required, we're absolutely prepared to step up and help.
Okay, under control. It's key, obviously, in both provinces, but with Saskatchewan, the Prime Minister and the Premiers are supposed to meet in Saskatoon. Did you get any sense in your conversations with your provincial counterparts in that province whether it's wise or efficient for that meeting to go ahead, given everything that's been happening in Saskatchewan?
It's my understanding that at least up to this point, it's safe for that meeting to take place.
Okay, so Premier Canoe, he has thanked the Canadian Armed Forces for dramatically accelerating their effort and increasing the number of aircrafts in use. What's your sense of whether what is available right now is sufficient to move the people to safety at the scale and speed that is required? Because when Premier Canoe announced the state of emergency, I believe it was Wednesday, he said this would be the largest movement of people in living memory for most Manitobans. So what's your sense of where you are in terms of the sufficiency of the lift capacity?
Certainly with respect to evacuations where the federal government has been involved, we're satisfied that we'll be able to move people quickly enough and get them to safe evacuation points. And, I might add that with respect to emergency management in the context of wildfires, it involves a tremendous amount of cooperation between various authorities, and that includes local authorities, the province, the federal government, when asked to do so, First Nations people. It can involve Indigenous Services Canada, and it can also involve what we call the humanitarian workforce, which is people from a number of NGOs that work on the ground to make sure that those affected by wildfires get the support that they need at a local level.
All right, so there you go, kits and cubs. Some information here with regard to what's going on. Got a little commercial in there, so we'll let that pass through, and then we'll get back to the actual interview with the minister here. But a lot going on, as you can see. That was as of Friday that all of that was happening, and things have picked up because people were wondering about being able to get everybody out on time. As you can hear, the minister was saying that she was pretty confident that that would be able to happen. And the pace of getting people out has definitely picked up, because they certainly have not removed 1,500 people by picking them up 6 at a time over the course of an entire weekend. So there are other flights that have been able to land with smaller planes and that type of stuff, and make deliveries and get people out. There are certain places where I think there's another place where they were trying to evacuate people where they were able to protect the landing strip, which made it easier for planes to land as well. So let's get back to the minister here and see what else that she has to say about what's going on here.
Well, it's an enormously complex issue to respond to, but Minister, unfortunately, we're getting an increasingly large amount of experience in responding to these things in Canada. It was in last year, we didn't reach this level of level 5 in terms of the fire preparedness until July. Here it is, it's May. And we got 2 provinces under states of emergency. I mean, what are you and your officials looking at when you see the earlier and earlier and earlier and more severe arrival of wildfire season in this country?
Well, it's completely concerning, to say the least. And one of the things that we absolutely need to focus on is making our communities more resilient to this type of loss, to this type of incident. And, the Prime Minister has added the aspect of community resilience to my portfolio, so that it's emergency management and community resilience. And so over the coming months and hopefully years, we'll be working very hard to make sure that we do things that keep communities safe, whether that means changing the way that we design the road system, whether it means, I can give an example of something that's already been done, making wharfs in the Maritimes after Fiona more flood resistant. So there's a number of steps that we need to take, which we didn't really have to worry about years ago, but which are front and center now. And so certainly, I and my department consider that a vital aspect of what we'll be doing in the months to come.
Well, I mean, the community resilience is obviously important, but we saw what happened with Jasper. We saw what happened in Lyndon in British Columbia a couple of years ago. And now the fires haven't quite reached the structures, or haven't yet reached the structures of Flin Flon. But that changed very quickly this week when the wind shifted, and now the forecast would suggest the winds may move in an unhelpful direction. I mean, what's the latest you have on just this, the risk to the town of Flin Flon at this moment?
Do you know, my understanding is that the town of Flin Flon is at some risk, and certainly, again, when and if the federal government is called upon to support, we will absolutely be there to assist in evacuation, in the aftermath of evacuation. So if that means on the ground support with respect to people who need accommodations, and people who need things such as cots and blankets and other emergency supplies, we'll be involved in the management of that. And certainly at the other end, if financial assistance is required at some point, we'll be there as well.
I wonder, there's been some criticism of the speed and scale of the response. The Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief, Kira Wilson, she said the federal and provincial governments were too slow to respond to resource requests. There's too much bureaucratic red tape in asking for support. What's your response to those criticisms from the Grand Chief?
All right, got another ad, unfortunately. So again, more information here. As you can tell, it is very clear that the minister is definitely on top of the file, and that she's able to speak calmly about this, and plainly and very clearly, which is very, very important to do in these specific situations. So that is already a good sign here that we have someone that is competent for the role. Now, of course, when you are doing crisis management communications like this, kits and cubs, the important part is to, of course, come up with regular updates at regular intervals, knowing that situations can change on the ground, and being honest, being as forthright, giving as much information as you can at the time, taking all the questions that are being there, and then telling when you are going to next come back to do the next update, and then showing up and consistently doing that. That's usually what happens in cases of plane crashes, for example. And if you want good models for how to do crisis situation communications and updates, the model that the transportation safety boards follow is usually the one that is very recommended, and one to start off. And it seems that the minister, at least in this case, with what it is she's communicating, and the way that she is communicating it is following that model. So that is absolutely a sign of competence, and you can have confidence in people who are organizing operations and delivering the information to you in this specific way. So very, very, very positive that she's doing this in this particular method, and very beneficial. For me, as someone who's observing, it inspires confidence that things are being done in the right way, and that everybody is actually focused on the task at hand, and nothing is trying to divert. So we will go back to the interview with the minister here, and hopefully we will be able to get through the last few minutes of it without any further interruption. All right, here we go, kids and cubs. And as you have seen, I've been able to add the information for Saskatchewan residents for evacuation information into the chat, and I've posted them on the screen during the show. All right, so
I would like to tell the Grand Chief that absolutely First Nations are not alone in this, and that certainly Indigenous Services Canada works very closely with First Nations to make sure they're supported when there's an event like this, such as wildfires. In addition, I'm in close contact with my counterpart, Minister Gulmasti at Indigenous Services Canada, and we're in contact all the time throughout the day to make sure that we can deal with this situation.
Is there legitimacy to the criticisms, though, with what you've looked at so far? And look, I know it's a difficult time when something like this is happening in every direction, but do you feel there were moments where maybe things could have moved a little bit faster when you look at it at this point?
I think we're always prepared to examine what we've done and what's happened in a given situation and see what we can do to make sure that we respond more quickly. Generally, what happens is no matter what the point of entry is with respect to the request for federal assistance, there is a large amount of collaboration between the partners involved in managing an emergency. And so that includes, as I say, First Nations, Indigenous Services Canada, local government, the provincial government, when we're called upon, the federal government as well. And I think I already mentioned NGOs and the Humanitarian Task Force. So there's a lot of moving parts and people that work together to respond in the best way possible to what's happening at the ground. And as you pointed out yourself earlier, David, that can change moment by moment, hour by hour. And so it's information that comes from local people is the most valuable. You know, they're aware of the circumstances, whether the airport's still standing, whether or not there's fire on both sides of the access to the airport, whether or not we can get people out by boat. So that local knowledge that comes from local, municipal, provincial, First Nations is incredibly valuable in how we respond to emergencies like this.
Okay, so I wanted to take a little pause here to talk about this answer specifically, because this is about, as a PR person, the best answer that can be given in this circumstance, because you do not want to deny and say, no, it's not true that we could have done things faster, right? There's a legitimate concern. People think that things should have been done faster. Maybe that is true. Maybe there was a delay. But at this moment, they're so busy actually taking care of the current situation that they're not evaluating already. Could it have been done faster? So she didn't deny that it is possible. Said that this is stuff that, there's going to come a time that we need to, we're always going to have to look back and see if we could have done things better, faster, and whatnot. So she's admitting that there is indeed a possibility rather than just rejecting out of hand. Now we did everything perfectly, all that kind of stuff. And then goes around to giving more information about how these things operate on the ground, usually in usual basis, and how the participation of local communities is really important, and it helps improve the response. of course, while stating all the time that she is in contact with the Minister of Indigenous Services, Mandy Golmasti, who is also Indigenous, and therefore, through several times throughout the day. So, trying to show that she is very concerned and very connected to the community, and trying not to treat it as an afterthought, which is usually the case in these situations. When it comes to Indigenous communities, they're often thought of as afterthoughts, or at least have the response as being thought of as afterthoughts. And you can see that she's clearly trying to make an effort here to state that that is not the case, that they're not afterthoughts, while not saying that everything they've done is perfect and that there's nothing that they can learn or nothing that they could have improved upon. So it's a well-balanced answer. It's not particularly satisfying, maybe, for certain people who want a clear yes, who want a clear no. But this is a fulsome, substantive, meaningful response with meat on the bone. And it's about the best that she could do in this case, especially considering that that's Friday, right? And the state of emergency was issued on Wednesday. If you're a week into it and whatnot, you would expect the answer maybe to have a little more and more precisions and different things around it. But at that time, 2 days after the state of emergency has been issued, that's about the best answer that one can give at that time. So she's performance-wise here, she's doing very well, considering that she doesn't have much to work with, in that she's a new minister. And right now, everybody's just scrambling to get the response out. So, I mean, there's a lot to say about what's been done, what's been doing, who she's talking to. But in terms of being able to evaluate how effective it's been already, and could it have been done better? Could it have been done faster? Could more have been done? It's still too early for that at this phase to be able to say that with any type of conclusivity or certainty.
I know the information can change minute by minute, hour by hour on these specific incidents, but the trend line and trajectory we're seeing, there's a pattern, a familiar pattern here caused by climate change, right? That we have these extreme winter storms.
Indeed.
That knock branches off and fell trees, that create a canopy, a floor canopy that dries out, gets hit by lightning, or someone leaves a careless fire, and then we get the wildfires going. And here we are that in Saskatchewan, which is under a state of emergency, the Prime Minister and the Premiers are going to meet to talk about big national projects with people putting pipelines on the table. And people may look at a climate change-fueled wildfire state of emergency in May and talk of accelerating fossil fuel development and ask how the government can square those things. I mean, how do you view it? And how do you respond to Canadians look at this and raise their eyebrows?
Well, in my view, the Liberals have always said that we can look after the economy and care for the environment as well. And that's exactly what we intend to do. And certainly, the fact that we're looking at nation-building projects at this precarious economic moment in time for Canada in no way takes away from the fact that we are also focused on making sure that these forest fires, wildfires, floods, that we can mitigate against them, that we make sure that we keep people safe, that we can evacuate if need be, and that we then, study what we can take, lessons learned, and apply those to situations in the future.
Minister of Emergency Management, Eleanor Olszewski, it's good to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show today. We appreciate your time.
Really appreciate it, David. Thank you so much.
And isn't it nice and refreshing for a change, as you could see by the way that she signed off, to have a minister or an elected official actually come to the TV and actually show or speak as if they were grateful to actually have the opportunity to access public airwaves to share information that would be helpful to people in times of crisis, rather than picking a fight, for example. This is the second time I've had a chance to see her speak, because there was some comments from her that I wanted to bring to you on Friday from a scrum where she was stating similar things, but not in as much detail. So that's why I went with this interview instead, because it gives you a good chance to get a sense for the response and for the minister, because we're at the moment with this cabinet shuffle where we're seeing some of these ministers in action for the first time. So we want to know what they're made of, right? And whether or not they have the mettle for the task that is at hand. And at this moment, it seems that indeed that is the case. We have a kit with us. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Gold Dragon. If I'm mispronouncing it, please let me know. Who's, if I'm not mistaken, is tuning in from Alaska and sending us hugs and and support. And we are sending thanks to you for the hugs and support, and of course to the good people from Alaska who are sent down some crews to help us fight the fires. That's why we're friends, right? So thanks. Friends help each other out, and we're so glad to have you. We're so glad to have you, and we're grateful. So yeah, there we go. So that's my the most of the update that I have on the on wildfires at the moment. Hopefully, if you are in an area that's affected, and as mentioned here, there are at least 180 different fires burning throughout Canada. I don't know if there are more now because that again was a update as of not first thing this morning, but gathered over the weekend. But wherever you are, please do remember to if you have the ability to clear brush and that type of stuff around your house for about 30 feet around, and to make sure that you have your go bag ready that has your important documents, that has your medications, that has at least 3 days supply of food and water with you, so that if you do need to evacuate, you can go quickly, because sometimes when you get the order, you only get half an hour to an hour, and then you got to be gone. So and it's not time when you're in a panic to start looking for things. So a little preparation and a little foresight can prove to be rather beneficial and even life-saving in such coincidences, in such situations, I should say. Circumstances is the word I was looking for, not coincidences. So please do what you need to do, and do listen to all emergency orders and evacuation orders. And remember, kids and cubs, if you have people in the area, do let them know that if they need to keep in contact with information, but they have low battery and low bandwidth, there is a service called CBC Light, so cbc.ca/LITE Light, which is a low bandwidth service, so that you can keep up to date on the news and what's being issued for your area, in case you don't have lots of access to charging or to bandwidth, and do want to keep informed so that you can make the best possible decision. So please, if you have the opportunity, if you have loved ones in the area, do share that information with them. And I appreciate you for being able to do that. Right, moving on to our next topic, although we are getting a little long in the show, but I did want to mention this before we go here. Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, has announced his chief of staff. There was a lot of talk about this for a while, because he had Marco Mendicino as his chief of staff in the interim, and his chief of staff, as Marco Mendicino as his chief of staff, has been extended for part of the summer period and the return. So this session of Parliament itself, Pierre Poilievre has been making the comment left, right, and center about how everything is just the same, and this particular element, having Marco Mendicino and him staying, was one of the things to which he could point to say that there was no change indeed within the Liberal Party. Of course, that is no longer the case, because yesterday Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced that he did find a new chief of staff, and the gentleman, his name is Marc-André Blanchard, and he decided to take the job. Now, according to the Toronto Star, according to the Toronto Star, of course, and according to everything else out there about him, Monsieur Blanchard is a former permanent representative to the United Nations for Canada. So the same position that Mr. Bob Rae holds right now is the position he's most notably held, or most recently held here. According to Hayden Godfrey of the Toronto Star, As his new government enters its fifth week, Prime Minister Mark Carney continued to build out his inner circle on Sunday, naming diplomat and lawyer Marc-André Blanchard as his chief of staff starting in July. In a statement posted to the social media platform Twitter, Carney called Blanchard, quote, one of Canada's most accomplished builders, legal experts, executives, public servants, and diplomats. So what do you need to know about him? Much like the Prime Minister, he will serve. Blanchard graduated from some of the world's most elite universities. He holds degrees from the London School of Economics, Université de Montréal, and Columbia University. A lawyer by trade, Blanchard, 59, spent 6 years as the chair and CEO of McCarthy Tétrault, a business law firm based in Toronto. He most recently served as the executive vice president for CDPQ Global, a Quebec-based investment firm. He is still a member of the Quebec Bar, according to the body's directory, where his area of law is listed as, quote, international. Blanchard served as the ambassador to the United Nations from 2016 to 2020. The announcement of his ascension to the post received little fanfare at the time, seeing as it was made the same day as David Macnaughton's appointment to be Canada's ambassador to the United States. The UN post has a history of being held by prominent Canadian political figures. Former Ontario Premier Bob Rae succeeded Blanchard in the job, and Stephen Lewis and longtime Jean Chrétien cabinet minister Alan Rock have also represented Canada at the UN. In addition, Blanchard sat on Canada's North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, Council, alongside one-time opposition leader Rona Ambrose and Stephen Harper-era cabinet minister James Moore. Lisa Raitt, a three-time Conservative MP who once served as Canada's Labour Minister, said on X that she's a big fan of this appointment, thanking Blanchard for coming back once again to serve Canada and calling the appointment an excellent choice. Unexpected from the Conservative ranks, but here we go. We'll take it. Meanwhile, former Liberal MP and Transport Minister Omar Alghabra called it a well-deserved appointment, while longtime Liberal Party fixture Penny Collenette, if you understand the backroom politics, Penny Collenette is like super high-powered in that area and has been for decades. Said that Blanchard and Carney form, quote, a powerful duo that puts Canada, quote, in supreme hands. The Star previously reported that former Trudeau senior advisor Mathieu Bouchard who had also served as chief of staff to the Heritage Minister, was in conversations for the position, and that former Trudeau aide and advisor Jerry Butts declined to take the job after having been approached. So yeah, there you go. André Blanchard, very accomplished. Chief of staff position is now filled. It is the critical one, basically quarterback for a lot of stuff that is going on and ensures that the government operates smoothly. So when you have a good chief of staff, things that happen on the first day, like for example, Stephen Guilbeault commenting on sharing his thoughts about the feasibility of pipelines when he is no longer the Minister of the Environment, and probably should have said, well, this is no longer my file. You should ask this guy, instead of volunteering his own thoughts. A good chief of staff would have made sure that did not happen. So yeah, competent, accomplished, seems to be well received even among conservative ranks. So it seems that it was a good move. Took a little time to make the decision. Some people were criticizing again. Oh my God, he hasn't got it right. I don't know how he's going to do. It's still Mendocino. See, there's no change. Took a little extra time and made a decision that is really well received. It's almost like taking time to think through things might be good. Certain political party that might want to take a tip from that. All right, moving on. Today, he will be meeting federal provincial premiers to discuss setting a priority list of projects of national interest. According to Doug Ford, he's asked all the premiers to give him a list of 5 priorities. Of course, Ontario's number 1 priority is the Ring of Fire. Of course, Doug Ford is negating all of Prime Minister Carney's efforts with what he's doing with Bill 5, which will tie projects up in courts for years to come. Indigenous groups are saying that little clause that he put in to say, oh, no, I'm protecting your stuff is not enough. You need to scrap that thing and start over from scratch, involving us from the beginning. So looks like Doug Ford, even if Mark Carney is going to move mountains to allow him to do the Ring of Fire really quickly, is not setting himself up to do a Ring of Fire quickly. Ontario, in the meantime, with regards to bringing trade barriers down, which is another goal that the Prime Minister wants to have legislation in effect for that on July 1st for the federal portion of what is required to be in place. In Ontario, there are memorandums of understanding that have already been signed with Manitoba, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. And I think there is another province that it was announced today that Ontario has signed something with. I believe it is Alberta. The deal with Nova Scotia itself, like these are big deals, can potentially unlock $4 billion per year of extra trade between the two provinces. So could be, when you put them all together, that could be interesting. Quebec's premier, François Legault, says that he has about $22 billion of projects that are ready to go. Now, these are projects that are, Prime Minister's looking for projects that are already shovel ready and ready to go that can be approved quickly. You just need some funding or a little bit of legislation or something like that to consider that the approvals are done and they'll go ahead. So it's not for every single project. So when each provinces is going to be presenting their 5 and whatever list they're going to come with, they will be picking winners and losers, right? Not everything is going to be picked. A lot of people won't be unhappy. And you know that Danielle Smith really wants a pipeline. But given that there probably is no plan, no project, no company that wants to build a pipeline and nothing ready to go right now, that a pipeline probably will not be on that initial list. So expect some conservative yelling and screaming and crying and accusations that he's not serious about it. Expect Danielle Smith to also be going all over the media saying how Mark Carney let her down. And this is again Ottawa just not being responsive and showing that they don't care. That's the plan. That's the strategy. That's why Danielle Smith presented that ransom list of demands that had things that were completely impossible, like guaranteeing Alberta access to tidewater, both north, east, and west, and tanker access. And it's like that. Other provinces have something to say about that. So that's not going to happen. So she's basically she created a list of demands that nobody can actually meet, so that she has something more to run on with regard to her disappointment that Alberta is being given the short shaft again. Or the short end of the stick, I should say, given the shaft again. Now, CBC has obtained some documents, apparently, about the upcoming legislation on projects of natural interest. And the document says that any move will uphold Indigenous peoples' rights, treaty rights, and the obligation under the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and other legal obligations, including the duty to consult. Even though it says that, Chief Sheldon Sunshine of the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation says, quote, "When you talk about fast-tracking some of these regulatory things, it's going to impact the lives of our people. So what is one-stop shop going to do for our people? It's going to put us in jeopardy." I think that document speaks for itself and how we obtained the document in itself. I haven't received a copy of that directly, and we've sent some correspondence back to that effect. They're just sending these things and expecting our PTOs, provincial territorial officers, I would guess, to respond on our behalf. Then that's very concerning. If they're talking to the AFN, that's a huge misstep. In Alberta, we don't have a regional rep for the AFN for partly that reason. We don't feel that the AFN has our best interest in heart. We have solutions, and if he wants to hear our solutions, I think we could be a bigger part of that conversation. I've said it before that in order to fix this country, we're going to have to include everybody, and that includes us. We've been here from prior to contact, and we're not going anywhere regardless of the intent of not upholding our treaties. Now, if you're further in the interview, of course, though, Chief Sunshine did indicate that if there is that opportunity to consult properly, there are some potential projects in there that could indeed be of interest. So it's not a complete rejection, but again, it's like, there's a discussion document that's out there and people are talking, and we weren't consulted on that one. And now I understand that a lot of people think, okay, well, it's just a working document so that we can agree upon us to have a position to then go and include. But that's not what First Nations are asking for. They're asking, like, let us in on the ground floor. When you are producing that initial document, we want to be there for that. And that apparently still is not being done. Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced that he will double the amount of money available through the Indigenous Loans Guarantee Program to help communities get involved in building new projects. So it seems that with regard to these projects, if there are any that are approved if they are approved and have the consent of First Nations, in order to get their stake, there is some federal money in there to help provide with that. So at least there's some walking of the talk on that front. As you know, um, everybody's going to be focused pretty much on Danielle Smith when it comes to this, because she's the one that is making the most trouble, and she has been making trouble over the course of the entire weekend as well by issuing statements and the table for the prime minister to fail, essentially laying out the trap. She's been particularly unhelpful because she keeps on putting out anti-Canada rhetoric that frames everything as if it's 100% up to Ottawa to repair the relationship that she is torching. So on Friday, she was like, well, I guess we're going to learn very soon if Carney really wants to repair the relationship with Albert. No, no, no. You got some stuff to do too, boo boo kitty. And she's been all out there saying, like this, well, just give us everything we want and that will unlock $14 trillion of benefits. And it's like, fact check, please, on that. Sounds like a great deal. No? And it's like, well, no, that's not a great deal actually, because if we agree that the $14 trillion can come out of it, if we eliminate the tanker ban and then kill Bill C-69 and remove the industrial cap and make pollution free and all that kind of stuff, that $14 trillion is $14 trillion that would come back to Canada based on what we do now. So give us everything we want, and look, you stand to participate in up to $14 trillion in additional benefits on $14 trillion of additional economic activity. Isn't that a great deal? Well, no, it's not, because you've not put anything else on the table. You just said, give us everything we want, and we promise you that the results will be so great that you'll have more money than you ever dreamed of. But there's costs to unlocking that $14 trillion worth of economic activity. And if we have not done it yet, maybe it's because the costs of cleanup and mitigation and natural disasters that would result from all of that, and skyrocketing insurance premiums from natural disasters, all come with a cost that maybe not make that $14 trillion worth it to unlock. If we haven't done it yet, probably is that there's a reason. So Alberta is again coming to the table with, give us everything that we want and it will generate so much economic activity that you're going to be living off us, which is, no, you have to come to the table with something more than that. If you want us to give you stuff, you have to be giving us stuff too. So the offer that's apparently wonderful is all take, take, take. There's no give in that. There's no additional benefit to Canada other than what we would normally get if we did that from Alberta. So Alberta is still at the position where they're not offering to lift a damn finger to do anything to help anyone else in Canada. And I say Alberta, I should say the UCP government of Alberta, because it's not all of Alberta, clearly. Alberta is not coming to the table to play nice with anybody else. The other thing here with Danielle Smith is, again, right, she's probably not going to get the pipeline in the first round because there is no pipeline ready to go. But also, a lot of the things that she needs does require the access of other provinces. And given that she doesn't really play nice with others, nobody's particularly incentivized to lend her a hand here. I don't know. Again, she keeps on trying to win the nanosecond to have something to campaign on, right? To avoid and distract from everything that's going on with AHS and everything else that's going on in her province that she's a part of. But this is not a long-term plan. She has no pipeline. She's, with the separation thing, she's creating an environment that business does not want. Even if we approved a pipeline, who's going to invest in it in a territory where they're talking about separation? She's not helping herself. She's not creating the conditions right? And then with their Alberta sovereignty referendum, it's like, well, 65% of UCP voters would like to be sovereign, 65% of Albertans do not. So she's literally pretzeling herself left, right, and center. And she can't win this without losing a political limb somewhere. She's literally setting herself up to be drawn and quartered, politically speaking. Because you can't get the pipeline while stoking separation at the same time. Nobody will invest. And clearly, she's not interested in the solution. Ryan Jesperson was interviewed on the House and said specifically that Danielle Smith and the people of the province that support her are not going to be happy no matter what Mark Carney does. No is the short answer, because it's not convenient for Alberta's premier, politically or otherwise, to find consensus with the Mark Carney government, especially at a time where Danielle Smith is on some thin ice when it comes to her government's own security and her own political popularity. At the most recent UCP AGM, she polled higher than 91% support from members. But since then, there's been some pretty significant developments, including an RCMP investigation into alleged corruption with Alberta Health Services procurement policy, a prominent cabinet minister leaving his post and walking away due to this, another, Indigenous by the way, MLA booted from caucus for speaking out against this government, in particular budget allocations. So things are happening, swirling around Danielle Smith, that are not convenient for her to have the public talking about. And what has always been a well that a conservative Alberta premier have been able to go to, that is gripes with and the fight against Ottawa. Look no further than the federal government under Justin Trudeau investing in the pipeline expansion, or more recently, Mark Carney axing the carbon tax, just like Pierre Poilievre promised he was going to do for quite some time. Neither Prime Minister or Liberal leader got any credit from Alberta or Alberta premiers for either of those projects. So I'm not convinced that the next step would do anything to friendly up that relationship. So there's going to be no reward for Mark Carney in terms of friendlying up that relationship. But Alberta, save 2 seats or 3, already votes all blue. So it's not like Alberta has any leverage. They can't say, well, if you don't give us everything we want, we won't vote for you anymore. You already don't. And while Danielle Smith is somewhat popular in her province, at least with her own people, and it seems from what I heard that the way that the reason the Conservatives in Alberta keep on winning so many elections is because of the representation by population division of the provinces there actually give a big benefit or big boost to rural seats than urban seats. If rep by pop was done in Alberta the same way it is done Canada-wide, it seems that it wouldn't be so easy for Danielle Smith to keep on winning. There is also recent polling from Polara that has come out that asked how popular premiers are in their own provinces. And all the premiers have a positive rating in their provinces, save 2. François Legault, who's the worst at the moment with a -10 rating, and Danielle Smith in her own province has a -5. So there are people in Alberta who are really tired of her and would like her to go. Overall, that's the sentiment, that they don't like her and they think that she's not performing. But because of the way that the seats are designed with representation by population, a -5, if she's got 65% UCP support, even though she's -5 throughout the province, is still enough for her to win. Right now, I think it's showing that she would get to 52% in the most recent poll showed that she would pick up 52%, but that's before these latest numbers, so maybe she's dropped since then, and would still probably get a majority government if an election were held today. And there's been some musings that Danielle Smith might be trying to engineer to go early in an election, even though she's only 2 years into her term at the moment, to try to lock in another 4 years based on this separatism stuff. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting meeting because we're going to have some people, we are going to have a list of projects out there, and there's going to be a certain number of happy premiers. There might be a few who are not happy, depending which projects were picked and made the cut. As the Prime Minister said, we might have some good projects that are not feasible. We might have some bad projects. We might have some projects. Some of those projects might be ready to go, but they're not really great projects. So the fact alone that they're ready to go for them to be approved, according to this prime minister, right? It has to both be a good project and ready to go. So that means that a lot of stuff is going to be let on the cutting room floor today. Yes, and then the reaction from the premiers is going to be whether or not they're happy with what's been included on the list. Is that what they're going to focus on, or whether they are going to gripe about what's been left on the floor? And you know that Danielle Smith is going to complain about what's been left on the floor. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when all of this is done. It seems that we can expect some type of report back from what happened during the day itself around 3:30 p.m. Central Time is the time that I see here on the list. Before that, we don't know exactly what the schedule is. There is going to be a cameras on portion at the beginning of it, so that we'll be able to get a little idea of what the vibe is going into the day. But yes, we won't hear anything till later. According to Mark Carney, he said, partnership is a theme for our discussion this morning. Leading figures from the oil and gas industry ahead of today's summit. Oh, sorry. Yes, that's right. I've got that right. Sorry, I thought I was confusing two different events here. And he says, it's a critical time for our country. The world's certainly more divided and dangerous, and the imperative of making Canada an energy superpower in all respects has never been greater. We will do everything we can at the federal government level to support these partnerships. So there we go. In addition to meeting with representatives from the oil and gas industry, as Mr. Grizzly mentioned earlier in the show, the Prime Minister also met with 20 the big city mayors sort of council or group. So it's the mayors of the 23 largest cities in Canada, and made a speech to them with regard to housing and crime and stuff that was extremely well received by the nation's big city mayors. So again, shoring up relationships with them as a strategic also element, because Pierre Poilievre has done nothing but slag them and frame them as some of the largest obstructions to getting anything built. He had a particular bad run-in when he tried to take a swipe at, I'm not sure if she's former mayor of Montreal, but soon to be former mayor of Montreal, Valérie Plante, who will not be running again. And that did not go over well at all, because she is one of the few elected officials that has gone through multiple terms with hardly any controversy whatsoever, and emerging from her position still respected. And yeah, him taking a gratuitous swipe at her did not land well at all, and probably another reason why he lost big in Montreal, because Quebecois have a long memory when you take a gratuitous swipe at one of their own, as he did there. So the Prime Minister has definitely been meeting. So as of this morning, there is no formal advisory on the timing of today's meeting, but the draft itinerary indicates that it will underway with on-camera opening remarks from Carney, as well as Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe. The closing media availability set for 3:30 p.m. Central Time, and the opening remarks will be at around 9 a.m. Central Time. So we have an idea of the start and the end time, but we don't have much of an agenda and timing for what's going to be going on between those hours. So there you go. That's the main event here for the Prime Minister on the day, and hopefully he will get through that. Hopefully Danielle Smith will not be as big of a disruption as I totally expect her to be once it's over, and try to steal the headline from the day from it. But Danielle gonna Danielle, so we better expect that to be the case, and be pleasantly surprised if it is not. All right, kids and cubs, I believe that that's all I have for you today. There's more stuff here, but we've got a couple of other shows this week, and I'm sure I can put that in there. Some stuff about housing and the economy, and of course, more taco from Trump, who was definitely feeling a little bothered that people were laughing at him with taco, and therefore he had to show that he's a real man who does follow through, and then just announced that, oh yeah, well, see, I'm in trouble. So, where's my favorite punching bag? Canada again. hey, Canada, yeah, I'm doubling those steel and aluminium tariffs from 25% to 50%. There you go. Stock markets, interestingly, at least in the pre-market, had not moved all that much. I had expected to see a big shift, but it was seems to have been met pretty much with a yawn, to be totally honest. The Asia Pacific markets all closed down, but except for South Korea, the Kospi, but that was like marginally up. It was pretty much break even. So between, let's say, 0.05% up and 1.61% down. So not a huge move. I expected a bigger shift. European markets yawned even more. They were down, but from 0.25% or 0.23% to about 0.69%. And the projected opening for the markets in the Americas, was projected to be lower. And while some markets did open lower, again, it's less than 1%, and a few of them are higher. Actually, the TSX is actually running positive at the moment. The Bovespa in Brazil, the S&P IPSA in Chile, the S&P BVM IPC in Mexico are all running positively. But the Dow, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000, all in the States, are a little bit down, but again, all less than between 0 and 1%. So no big shift, surprising. Now, I don't know if that's because a lot of the things that he's tariffing 50% are still excluded under the Kuzma type arrangements and that type of stuff. So it won't affect as much as it looks like. But again, this is Trump not thinking things through, because he's setting himself up for another taco, because there's no way that these industries, both in Canada and the United States, can deal with 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum, particularly the military industry. And at some point, he's going to have to perform another taco on the move that he put out into the public to try to prove that he's not President Taco. It's just so silly. So yeah, everybody's expecting that he's going to be temper tantrum on this, and then everybody's going to let him know how this is not feasible and it's not good, and some data is going to start coming in, and then he'll back down, and he'll find some reason to reduce it. Either somebody will call him and flatter him, or pay him a compliment or something like that, and say, oh well, he's such a great guy, I decided to reduce it or something. But expect another serving of taco at some point, because moving from 25 to 50 is not sustainable. But once again, right, he's got to show the world he's a tough guy. And how can you be tougher than by punching your closest ally and best friend right in the face? If I can do this to my friends, I can do this to you. It's pretty much the attitude here. So, yeah, we're being punched in the face for show at the moment. I'm not sure what it is he thinks he's going to accomplish with this, but anyway, it seems that these are going to start on June 4th, so they're not in effect yet. Who knows? Wait till 11:59 on June 3rd, because or even noon on June 4th, and see if things change. Anyway, he's really starting to bore me. I mean, it's devastating, whatnot, but I really thought it would be more interesting after a while. But no, it's just the same move that he keeps on doing over and over and over again. It's not working for him in any time, in any case, but he keeps on trying it again, thinking that this time it will work. It's you have to talk about it because it's meaningful. It can have devastating impacts. I mean, I think Stellantis had announced, I think it's down to one shift, or planning, to be down to one shift based on already what's going on. But it's just so silly. It's just so silly. I'm a little embarrassed or humiliated. Here's another tariff that I'm going to have to walk away from eventually. It's just, we are not dealing. They're not sending their best. Let's put it that way. Oh my God. All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. because it really matters to us. And it really helps us when you do, when you retweet our content and share our content, and especially when you include a word of your own, saying how much you enjoyed it, or you agree or disagree with what's being said there. That boosts our engagement. And we thank you for everything that you do to help promote us in that way. We're grateful for all your help. Kids and Cubs, if you would like to make sure you do not miss an episode because you are a beaver or a grizzly of your own on the go and you're making things happen. Maybe you're a wolf or an otter. Who knows? Whatever critter you are, you're making things happen because you're an engaged citizen. And sometimes you don't have time to sit in front of the computer and watch us. Well, turns out we're portable. Take us with you. We have an ears-only version podcast of our show that comes out after we have our live broadcast here. And you can listen to us in the car or when you go for a jog or if you're preparing a meal. And just put us on and we'll keep you company. Scan that QR code, True North Eager Beaver. Oh, actually, that would be podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. Thanks to the Ray Girl. If you go there and click subscribe when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, zip, it comes directly to you. Whatever podcast service you use, it will come right into your feed and you don't even have to go look for us. It's that simple. We make it easy because we like to help. If you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, well then, grabbing your e-surfboard and making your way to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where we have 3 buttons for you to smash with. As Kit Elaine always says, if you're watching live, if you smash now, you don't have to remember to do it before you leave. And you certainly won't forget to smash, because that would be terrible. But if you are not watching us live, do take a little trip to our YouTube page, and then we have some buttons for you: like, share, and subscribe. Click on them. It makes us very happy when you do, and it helps us with the algorithm. Also, if you are listening to us on podcast form and you have the opportunity to give us stars and reviews, please do so. That also helps us with the algorithm and charting and all that good stuff. So thank you for all the help you are doing with regard to that. Now, kids and cubs, we're starting a new month. And if you would like to help us with the costs that we incur to bring this show to you, because we do incur a few, of course, it's a labor of love, but every little bit of help helps. Every little bit of help helps. Maybe I should use another word. Every little bit of help is welcome. There you go. Help helps. Oh my word. Gee, not the most literary beaver today. But every little bit of help is definitely welcome. So if you would like to make a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund. Sorry, I just yawned a little there. It's not you, it's me. If you'd like to make a donation to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, that would be absolutely a wonderful thing and a right neighborly thing to do, because we all must do what we can to keep our favorite beavers moist, right? Oh, see, you saw the actual swallow. There's still, not sure, there's still some water in the cup there. It's hard to see, but because it's a black background. But unlike Skippy, my cup is not empty yet. So, kids and cubs, if you'd like to fill it with appreciation and gratitude, we would be returning the appreciation and gratitude. And remember, when you make a donation to the Emergency Beaver Lodge Hydration Fund, your sex appeal instantly goes up 28.3%. It's just science. It's guaranteed too. You are all so wonderful. Now, kids and cubs, because democracy is something that you do, remember that there is a liberal leadership race in the province of Quebec, and voting is June 9th to 14th. So it's coming up soon. So if you've got you're registered and all that kind of stuff, do make sure that you do vote, because often in leadership races, people buy their memberships and then don't take the next step and actually cast their vote. So please do cast your vote. This is the most power that you have for quality control to make sure what gets on the ballot when the next election comes along in the province of Quebec. So if you do want to have a very strong liberal candidate for whom to vote for in the election, and one who you think might draw votes from other parties so that the Liberals can do well in the next election, and maybe ensure that the PQ doesn't get a majority so that we do not have to talk about separation in two provinces simultaneously, would be a really good idea to make sure that you have the best possible candidate on the ballot. And the way to do that is to ensure that you do vote in the leadership race. So please do that June 9th to 14th, with the results to be made public on July 14th. Remember as well, if you have the ability to help Canadians who are in need, that the Red Cross does have some fundraisers going on for those who are being displaced as a result of the wildfires, and that the federal government will be matching. And of course, it's always a good time to write a letter. For whatever reason, it's free. So do make your voice heard, or ask for a meeting with your elected representative, a little performance review. Always very helpful. And finally, as you know, there are 3 by-elections called in Alberta, provincial by-elections. And so if you want to get involved there, find out who your candidates are, phone bank, write letters, knock on doors, and make sure that we have some good candidates and good people joining the Alberta legislature in a little while. Okay, let's see. Words of wisdom, kids and cubs. Go with the flow today. There's a lot of stuff out there that's designed to get a rise out of you. Triage is very important. Sort through it and only give your emotion to the stuff that really, really deserves it. A lot of it is just noise trying to get you to react. So you can't control them putting it out there, but you can control whether you look at it and just roll your eyes and go, well, that's clearly bait, and just move on. So a little triage and management skills. Just go with the flow. Don't let the stuff bother you. The stuff that's designed specifically to bother you, but that's ultimately mindless. Just don't let it. Just don't. Reserve your power for stuff that actually matters. All right? That's my best advice for you today. Kids, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, kids and cubs, I think it might be time for some audience participation. I see you all out there with my magic mirror. Kit J and Kit T. Wigmore and Kit Elaine and Kit Jillian, Kit Tim. I see you there. And there's so many more of you, Kit Kat W. But now I need to hear you. So on the count of 3, I want a big ol' Mr. Beaver. Cue the cock. On 1, 2, 3. Oh, that is so beautiful. Ah, the tone and the vibrancy and the harmony. You outdid yourselves today, kids. I can't help it. I live to serve. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kids and cubs, before we go, we have to do a little bit on Canadians who make us proud, right? So there's a lot to talk about. So kids and cubs, we've had the Canadian Screen Awards over the course of the weekend, so honoring the best in Canadian film and television, and I believe also online content. And interesting Danielle Berkerman, who is the lead producer of the movie called The Apprentice, which is a Canada, Ireland, Denmark co-production that portrays how Trump got started in the real estate industry and honed his persona under the mentorship of controversial fixer Roy Cohn, won Best Motion Picture. Quote, our movie shows how the young Donald Trump amassed wealth and power by finding a dilapidated building and slapping his name on it, said Berkman on stage at the CPC headquarters in Toronto. As president, he's doing the same thing with the economy. We'll see how that works out. But now he wants to slap his name on this country. This is a challenge, but it's a good challenge. Beckerman went on to say that he's inspired by the rise of Indigenous and queer cinema in Canada, but that he wants the country's independent film community to band together. Quote, when we're faced with power structures that want to silence us, we can't do it in isolation. It's time to link arms, stand our ground, and tell stories with enough honesty that we can build a country that has trust at its core. So in this complex and chaotic world, we can survive and thrive together. The movie, The Apprentice, didn't do very well at the box office because I'm guessing that people had enough of Trump and didn't actually want to spend a lot of time seeing it on the screen. But the movie is exceptionally good. Sebastian Stan is one of the main actors in there, and Jeremy Strong as well. And both gained critical acclaim for their performances, and each earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor in there. So the movie was actually Oscar nominated as well. So it is definitely worth your time and worth watching, even though it may be a little too soon, considering that he's still POTUS at the moment. And there were many comments during the award ceremony about supporting homegrown content because, Donald Trump also made the move or stated something earlier on about wanting to tariff movie production that was not done in the United States itself. Also, the movie, Matthew Rankin's Absurdistamity Universal Language, took home the Best Director trophy from films, and it won a total of 6 awards and was the most awarded movie. So it's called Universal Language. So there you go. On the TV side, given that it's Pride Month, I'm happy to announce that Canada's Drag Race won the Best Reality Program, bringing its screen awards total to 8, the most overall. The series took home several trophies at an industry gala earlier in the weekend, including Best Host for Heights, Brad Gorski, and Tracy Melcher, I'm guessing. Canada's Drag Race judge Brooklyn Heights thanked her fellow queens while accepting the award. Thank you for coming on TV, sharing your stories, and letting it all hang out literally and figuratively, she said. We're all just so grateful to be here and get to celebrate queer people in queer spaces on national TV. City TV's Law & Order Toronto Criminal Intent led all nominees with 20 nominations, won Best Drama Series, and wound up pocketing 3 awards in total, including Best Writing and Best Sound. Comedian Lisa Gilroy opened the show with some jokes and taking light jabs at celebrities, of course. I believe that this hour has 22 minutes, also took 5 awards, a show that keeps a lot of us sane. Andrew Fung of CBC's Run the Burbs won for Best Lead Performer in a Comedy Series, and the film The Apprentice won 5 screen awards in total, including Best Performance in a Lead Role for Sebastian Stan as Trump, Best Supporting Actor for Jeremy Strong's portrayal of Roy Cohn, and the movie was also controversial, met with some controversy because Trump's team attempted to block the film's theatrical release last fall, calling it, quote, an election interference by Hollywood elites. So, yeah. Oh, well. And there were many more projects and stuff that won awards, but congratulations to all who took home some hardware from the Canadian Screen Awards and all those who were nominated as well for producing content that is by us and for us and speaks to us. We're really grateful for that. Also, some other Canadians to be proud of. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was chosen as the NBA's MVP for the season as the final of the NBA starts. And for the first time in history, there will be 4 Canadians playing on the 2 teams who are involved in the final. So it's kind of interesting to see things going very well with Canada in terms of basketball. But then again, I mean, it is our game, right? I mean, we did invent the sport, so it's about time that we have some people in the game, and we have stars of our own. So yeah, it's really nice to see that, and hopefully, well, they will perform very well during the finals, and that we will have a very, very, very interesting stories about the Canadians. Hey, who knows? Maybe one of them will win the playoff MVP as well. But yes, Rowan Barrett, who's the general manager of Executive Vice President Men's High Performance for Basketball Canada, is quoted as saying, "To see 4 homegrown players competing for an NBA championship is a testament to the depth, resilience, and world-class players being developed in Canada. We couldn't be prouder of what this means for our country and for the continued growth of the game." So you will be watching for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you will be watching for people who also are playing, I believe, Lugens Dort, Benedict Mathurin, and Andrew Nembhard. So those will be the 4 players. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the second Canadian player to win the NBA Most Valuable Player Award. And the first being, of course, Steve Nash, who did it earlier. And he also secured the 2025 NBA scoring title. So a very accomplished year for Mr. Gilgeous-Alexander. Also, Derek G, the cyclist, we've talked about him before because he had actually won a stage at the Tour de France and finished 9 in the Classement Général, which was his highest ranking in the Classement Général race. Well, we just had the Giro d'Italia, and he finished 4th overall for his best result ever. So great success to him. He's definitely climbing up in the rankings and performing very well. The French Open is on. As a Beaver who loves tennis, unfortunately, no Canadians made it to the second week, with Leila Annie Fernandez and Gabrielle Diallo losing both their second round matches. We have a young lady named Nadia Lagaev who's in the junior girls tournament, both in singles and doubles. But in terms of the main draws at the open part of it, no more Canadians are left, unfortunately. In track and field, there's been some really good success for Team Canada over the course of the weekend. Number one, Marco Arup, who is an 800 meter specialist, over the course of the weekend, won his 3rd consecutive event in the Grand Slam of series in track and field. So that was absolutely fantastic. Pierce Lepage and Damian Warner both competed in the decathlon at Götzis. They have another name for it now, but we used to know it as Götzis, and it's one of the premier events on the circuit. Damian Warner ended up 6th in the event. I'm not sure exactly where Mr. Lepage ended up in the standings when it was all over, but both were competing in that one. As well, our hammer throwers, Ethan Katzenberg and Cameron Rogers, once again showed that they are some of the most consistent performers out there. Both of them won gold at the Kip Keino Classic in Kenya. So great success for all of our athletes here in that. So in that group. And at this event, well, these 3 events actually on the track and field circuit that were all taking place at the same time. And let's see, do I have anything else for you in there? Get some Cubs weekend. And yes, for the CONCACAF Under-20 women's tournament, Canada defeated Nicaragua to cement their place in the playoffs. They still have to play Mexico in the round robin this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern, but they will be going to the playoffs. And finally, at the PGA Memorial Tournament, Canadian golfer Nick Taylor finished in 4th place there, which is a good result. And another Canadian, Taylor Pendrith, finished 12th in what was a very large field to start. So there you go. that's all the stuff I have about Canadians who made us proud over the course of the weekend. I'm sure there's many more Canadians that made us proud in other ways, particularly our first responders dealing with the wildfires and everybody in the communities who did what they needed to do to make evacuations orderly and successful. You are also Canadians who make us proud. And we are sending our thoughts to you and hope that you stay safe. And as you know, we will be doing our bit to encourage everyone to donate to help Canadians in need who are being affected adversely by these wildfires. All right, kids and cubs, that's all I got for you. It was a little long Easter egg today, but one wanted to make sure to get all the information out. Monday shows are always a little longer because you have 3 days worth of content to get through. And trust me, I had more, but I will try to work it in to the rest of the week, and hopefully we get a couple of slow news days. Until we see each other tomorrow, kids and cubs, big hugs, bisous et amour, and have a beaverific day. And now, like magic, still not empty.